who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha, yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha, yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what it's meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited. Like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete, well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt. Push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha, yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha, yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me, how'd I turn pain into energy. Through all the struggle and hurt, remember my worth, and that's why I gotta be first.
dime on the mission, snap any minute, casually winning. Stop tripping on me, stop dissing on me. Yeah, I got a dream, can't take it from me. My fire's burning, now I'm always learning. Tell me where to go, man, I'm on a journey. Yeah, I can't explain it, I get excited. Keep it 300, King Leonidas. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. I don't got the time, put me in, coach. I've been going hard, time to let it show. Everything raw, give it to me now. Let me have the spot, man, it's going down. Gotta get it here, I don't wanna wait. Take what I want, then I go train. Gotta get a win, I won't lose the game. This is my year, I ain't gonna break. Strap in, cause it's gonna be a long ride. Working on me every single day and night. There comes a time when your worlds will collide. If it's holding you back, push it right to the side.
On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal.
Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here.
On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal. On another level, I will never settle. Mind over matter, get the gold medal.
Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here. Ain't got no time for no fear. I work too hard to get here.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting, it's hot. Look what I got, whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast, I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes, I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete, well get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha, yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha, yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what it's meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited. Like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete, well get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha, yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me, how'd I turn pain into energy. Through all the struggle and hurt, remember my worth, and that's why I gotta be first.
We've barely had time to reset from all the excitement of the World Championship, where the East ended the domination of the NA region. Luminosity Gaming in particular, a team in which many CODM fans had placed their hopes, was defeated by the Indian team Godlike, who proved to be the dark horse of the tournament.
Well, while North America, may have underperformed over at Champs, it won't be long before they get their shot at redemption. With Masters in Brazil on the horizon, it's going to be a pretty good chance for them here in this season to improve their gameplay and get better before they get the shot at proving that West is still best.
Roster Mania struck in North America once again as we saw big-time shakeups in all three of our top dogs, and we also saw the departure of one of the most storied organizations in COD Mobile history. Will the top three teams be able to stick it out and make their way back into the playoffs, or will truly, in some of these underdogs, have a chance at taking them down?
Suffice to say, it's going to be a very exciting challenge season, so let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snapdragon Pro Series.
Till a player on top, know it. Rooftop, penthouse, sweet. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fight through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already, emotional work and devotion. We put in this time, look. You won't stop.
Hello, everyone, and welcome Welcome to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where today is day number 1 of Season 4 of the Challenge Season for Call of Duty Mobile in NA. It's going to be a very exciting season. I can't wait to get into all of the action. My name is Glitter Explosion, and I'll be your host the entire time. And you know I couldn't do it alone. We had to bring in the boys to help out as well, which means we have Infinity for the first time ever joining us here in the studio, and of course, the legendary Bobby. How are you feeling today, Infinity?
Feeling pretty good, ready to cast some COD Mobile. As I said, it's the best Call of Duty game there is. It's got a wonderful selection of maps, and of course, we're here in ever so wonderful Poland. Really excited.
Absolutely.
It's great to be back in Poland. I've missed it here. I've missed snow, and there's a lot of it, so I'm really enjoying my time, but obviously we're all looking forward to some COD Mobile action, and North America absolutely have something to prove after a lot of disappointment that we saw in Stage 5. Curious to see what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because we have lots to talk about today before we can even get into the beginning of our challenge season. We need to get a lay of the land first. Like we mentioned when the show opened, we just had our World Championship and a lot went down. So we need to talk about arguably the disappointment that we saw coming out of LG, okay? Let's touch on that. They went into World Championship completely undefeated here, Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, they ran the table during our Challenger stage. They ran the table in the playoffs as well, as obviously they took down Devious and Mayhem twice. And then leading up to the playoffs, still did not lose a single match. And then all of a sudden they run into Godlike in the semifinals and things fall apart very, very quickly. So whether that's the improvement of Godlike or maybe some major, major holes in the game plan of Luminosity, definitely a lot for them to prove is they went into that championship, no question, the favorites to win the whole thing.
Yeah, so it was an exciting World Championship because of that, to say the least. Like we mentioned, it ended up being the East. Everybody thought, maybe is it going to be NA? They're going to take it again? No, it was the East that dominated here, Brody.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, last year's final, I say last year was 2023.
Yeah, right?
So, time is an illusion. 2022's finals, that was Tribe versus Luminosity, an all NA affair. So we went into 2023 finals thinking, hey, this is going to be NA all again, and it absolutely wasn't. Not only were LG rattled throughout the entire tournament, I think there were maps that they lost, which I don't think we would normally expect them to lose. Granted, it was a kind of tougher affair for them than normal with the SPS. But even, Tribe and Mayhem, they struggled as well. So NA, definitely not the best of circumstances for them.
Yeah, and Bobby, you were there in Atlanta streaming the entire time watching this event. Like, tell me your thoughts on everything that went down.
Oh, it was just absolute chaos for the entirety of the first day. So many matches happening at once. It was a blast to keep up with all of them. But like you said, North America, disappointing. It was actually really interesting because we came in after like the first set of matches, and Shift sits down on the couch and he says, NA is in shambles. And we're like, what? NA is fine. NA's chilling. And Shift was right. NA was in shambles, and that proved itself throughout the weekend. So definitely a lot of work to be done for each and every one of those teams, and obviously the roster changes hoping to play a factor in that.
Sure, and this honestly might have been one of my favorite things we've done at any tournament ever for SPS. Every time a team was getting knocked out of the tournament, the team that knocked them out got to X their team logo off of our graffiti wall there as we take a look back at the bracket and how all of Atlanta played out here, Brody. It started off really fast. We got so many 3-0s. I think we were all worried at some point, were they ever going to stop? But then the competition really picked up after that.
Yeah, I think there was a skill gap with some of maybe the lower level teams, right, where those 3-0s do kind of happen off the basic mistakes that you would see. But as you said, when you get further in the tournament, you expect some of these kind of higher level teams to really start to clash, and we definitely saw that. Notably again, it's probably the standout matchup from the entirety of the World Championships. Godlike versus Luminosity Gaming went all the way to a Game 5, and Godlike took it. I mean, just looking at this bracket, that is the Cinderella run. Even if they didn't end up winning the whole thing, it was still such an awesome tournament to watch.
I mean, we even heard it in some of their interviews. They went from, they admitted what they felt like was one of the worst teams in the entire competition last time around to this past World Championship, second place with the level of competition that we saw. I mean, that was a phenomenal run for Godlike. Obviously, Wolves incredibly strong the entire time as well. If you haven't seen it somehow, if you've missed it, go back and watch the VOD because it was a fantastic World Championship. And now that you guys know kind of the history, how all of our teams got here, what led up to this challenge season, let's talk about how this tournament works. If you're new and you don't understand, we'll walk you through the format first so you can understand this portion of the competition. Bobby, I have to give it to you for the format so you can tell everybody at home how it goes.
We had the open portion of the series where you play with friends to try to gain some points, see if you can make your way into the top 128 teams, where we had a double elimination bracket to dwindle all the way down to what we have right here, our 8-team round robin, which will determine our top 4. And 2 of those top 4 teams are going to be heading to Sao Paulo, Brazil for our Mobile Masters. Definitely going to be an insane event.
Okay. And this is the part we're going to be focusing on here just for a second, because Mobile Masters right now is the ultimate goal for all of our teams here after this challenge season. There is so much money on the line here in Brazil, plus the title, the trophy, Brody. I mean, talk to me about this.
It's crazy, right? $200,000 on the line. It is the next big major milestone for any COD Mobile team worth their salt. 90,000 of that going to first place. You look at the rest of the breakdown here as well. Second getting 40K, third 20K, as well as fourth, and then fifth through sixth, 10K, and seventh through eighth, 5K apiece. I think most importantly here is the fact that even if you get into Masters, you are walking away with something.
Absolutely, and for NA, only 2 teams out of the 8 that we have will be able to make their way through to the next stage of that competition, which means right now in the challenge season, everything counts. They need to make sure that they are starting off strong and making their way through these next 4 weeks equally as strong to be in that top 2 spot, because yeah, they're fighting to get to Mobile Masters, but there's still some money on the line here in the challenge season as well, Bobby. All right, you know, a little bit of extra cash as they move their way through the next stage of the competition.
Yeah, and for a lot of these teams, they have never seen prize money that looks like this. Even for 8th place, there's probably 3 to 4 teams in here that are comprised of mostly players without a whole lot of competitive experience. So regardless of where they finish right here, it's absolutely a huge opportunity for these guys to really get some solid experience going against these top teams. And even if you don't make it into the playoffs, still going home with a nice chunk of money.
Absolutely. This is essentially really good proving grounds, that preparation phase for Mobile Masters going up against a global level of competition. It's going to be really exciting. But now that you guys know how the tournament works, we need to talk about kind of what happened during Roster Mania leading into this, because we might be seeing some familiar faces on different teams, some teams under different banners. I want to play a little bit game with you here, Brody. I've got a meme. I've got a meme for you, okay? We're going to have you guess which team this is. It's like Pokemon. What logo is that?
It's a head scratcher. I think it might be Tribe Gaming.
You're right that is Tribe Gaming, but it's actually not Tribe Gaming. I've completely tricked you, because Tribe's actually not under the Tribe banner anymore. They're going to be playing this season under the banner of the Rejects.
Yeah, it's unfortunate really that Tribe unfortunately will not be participating in COD Mobile anymore, but at the very least we do still get their wonderful roster. And yeah, I mean, Team Rejects, they're still going to be pretty good. We still expect them to be part of our trifecta, our king lineup, if you will. I'm still really excited to see what this roster is capable of, even if they're under a new name.
Absolutely. And then we're talking about new rosters, new teams, people that could potentially really shake things up here. Bobby, I want to talk a little bit about this Truly roster.
Yeah, Truly, no question. A lot of talent right there. A couple players from a few different rosters that we've seen in the past. Obviously, you'll recognize Space from that Tribe Stage 5 roster. You'll also recognize Forsaken, who is from the Tribe Stage 4 roster. Both of those super solid players. And I believe also Hax, who we would recognize from DICE, and I believe Yawn as well, who was on the ARP roster, but on the 2025 NYSLM Stage 5 roster. So a lot of experience to go around right there. I'm not sure what the chemistry is going to look like for these guys, but maybe a change of scenery could be exactly what they need.
Yeah, and this is what we're talking about. We had to kind of lay the land with all of these changes that have happened in a very short window of time after the end of our World Championship. But you mentioned a couple times when you were talking about Truly there, Space. We actually have Space standing by, ready to do an interview, talk with us a little bit before the competition kicks off here today. Space, can you hear me? How are you?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm doing good. How are you?
All right, I am fantastic. First of all, thank you so much for jumping on here and chatting. Let's just dive right into it. I want to get your thoughts, especially after the World Championship, on where you think the current level of competition stands now heading into Season 4 of the Challenge for NA.
So NA has always been, like, we've been able to get away with just being the best in a sense, but this was really a wake-up call, so hopefully every team gets their stuff together and actually starts taking it more serious, taking practice more serious, especially in those S&D game modes.
Ooh, okay, all right.
Well, all right. Well, look, I've got a question for you as well, May. Look, you've recently made a roster change. You've switched out from Tribe to Truly. I wanted to kind of know what that process was like. What was the kind of the thought process behind leaving Tribe and making a switch across?
So actually, the players on Tribe did not want to play with me. They didn't agree with my play style, and I was kind of gonna leave it at that. I was just gonna take the YouTube route and not really play. But I got called up by my ex-teammate Jan. I used to play on NYSL with him, and he was like, "Yo, bro, like, you want to join? Like, we'll just kick it. We'll have a good time." And I was like, "You know what? I can't deny that." So this season, I'm just here to have fun, maybe upset.
Whoa.
All right. I like it. Obviously, it's going to be a very different looking roster what you have on this Truly team as compared to Tribe. Do you think there's maybe anything about the way the team's composed that could potentially give you guys an advantage over any of those other top 3?
I mean, this team, like, all the players on this team are very notable. They're very, like, they have the raw talent that it takes to be a championship winning team. It just all depends on how seriously we take practice moving forward.
All right.
All right. Well, Space, we don't want to keep you on here too long because I know that everybody does have to play today. But before I let you go, to kick off the season, do you have any shout-outs or anything that you want to do?
Yeah, I want to give a shout-out to my family, of course, and then my girlfriend, Jenny.
All right. That's great. Well, thank you so much for chatting. Best of luck today.
Thank you.
All right. Now that we got to talk to Space, he didn't say it outright, but I also felt like there was like a lot of confidence exuding off of him heading into today. So I'm excited to see what Truly brings to the table as a squad. Let's check out the schedule for today and see exactly where all of these matchups are going to land. Now, this is who we have on the docket. We'll be seeing Truly a little bit later on. But outside of that, any matchups jumping off the page here to you, Brody?
I mean, it has to be Team Mayhem and LG, right? I mean, I know it's low-hanging fruit, but it just has to be, right? I mean, we've talked a lot about our top 3 North American teams. Rejects now kind of the new but not new member among them. But Mayhem and LG, I mean, this is a rematch. These guys have matched up so many times. And, you know, I'm really excited not just to see them match up once again, but to see them match up with their new rosters. I think that's the key thing for me.
All right. I love it. I love it. Well, we'll also have a couple off-stream matches that are happening as well. If we get any updates on those, we'll make sure to keep you guys at home updated on the score so you can make sure you know everything that's going on. And another way to make sure you know everything that's going on is obviously our social media. Okay, first show of the season means I have to remind you to make sure you are on top of that. You can head on over to X, to Insta, or to Facebook. Follow us on there and keep yourselves up to date with everything that's going on in this challenge season and everything that's SPS related. And if you want to, you can also head on over to discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series to join our community, hang out with everybody else, talk all things Call of Duty Mobile, and continue getting those updates as well. So once you've got that done, you'll be all set for the entire challenge season. But now that we have literally explained everything you possibly need to know at home, it's time to start talking about these matches. We just saw them on the schedule. Match number 1 is right around the corner. It is Team NBA versus the Disciples. What can we expect out of this matchup here, Bobby?
I mean, there's a lot of unknowns across both of these teams. Obviously, more unknowns than anybody is Team NBA, who actually just filled in at the last second for a team that was not going to be competing in the competition. So definitely a lot of questions around how much time these guys have been putting in. Obviously, the rest of the squads have had some time to practice, to get some reps in, to make roster changes. And Team NBA, you look at the names, and there's not a ton of people that are really going to stick out if you've been watching competitive COD Mobile. But I'm definitely excited to see what these guys are bringing to the table, and hopefully some improvement throughout the season.
Yeah, it's questionable name choices, I think it's fair to say, with Team NBA. Bobby and I were looking at it earlier because it was a very last-minute change, we'll say that much, right? I mean, we did not expect Team NBA to be part of the competition. I don't think they expected it either. They probably got a very last-minute call in. Guys, please choose your team names better. Please choose your player names better. Regardless, NBA, they are up against it because Disciples did look pretty good in the qualifier.
All right, well, let's talk about that Disciples roster a little bit, okay? I know you said lots of unknowns here, Bobby, but maybe a little bit more known? Maybe?
Not really. I mean, they once again did look solid and could be like a tier 3 team that's on the rise and maybe an opportunity for them to prove themselves a bit. But none of those guys super recognizable from any of the past challenge seasons, stage 3, stage 4. I'm excited to see what they bring to the table, and once again, an opportunity for some experience to be gained. I think they'll probably take the win up against Team NBA, but up against our top tier teams, it could get ugly.
You know, it's important to note that this is kind of what the Snapdragon Pro Series is all about, though, right? We have those open stages for this exact reason. We want up-and-comers, unknown players and teams to really have an opportunity to come in and play against these solidified squads, because you never know what could happen. It could be anyone who shows up one day and absolutely sits down the likes of the LGs, of the Tribes. I mean, if Godlike isn't that exact representation of from worst to almost best, I can't think of a better example. So we will reserve judgment until after we get at least a week in of being able to see some of these teams get some gameplay in, and potentially, obviously, eventually have to face off against those better squads and see where they can kind of stand on their own 2 feet at the level of competition that we know a lot of these teams can bring to the table. But now, I think we should have our map vetoes coming through, and we'll start to see if we get any interesting picks here out of these teams. Anything jumping out at you for this hard point here, Brody?
Take off map number 1. This is a pretty popular pick, I think, from all the preparation I did for SPS. It feels like it's a map that people love a lot. I think it's been in the rotation a fair bit. I will say I'm surprised to see Apocalypse, because this is one of those maps that is newer to the map set, although at this point I think it's been in for a few months now. Teams should be good at it, and I think this is going to be an overarching point for this season. I think if teams kind of vary their map pool a bit, get maps like Apocalypse in, they might be able to kind of take some of the top teams off guard.
I am interested in those search and destroy picks, because both of these teams not really known for their competitive play, probably a little bit sweatier on the rank side of things. And interestingly enough, Slums and Express are not ranked S&D maps. So I'm curious to see what the preparation is going to look like for both of those. Obviously, Crossroads Strikes heading into Control, not something that we get to see a whole lot. So I'm excited to see that one as well.
All right. Well, now that we've got a lay of the land here, we'll have to see which of these teams, if these were successful picks and bans for them, if any of these play in their favor, which maps they look the strongest on, maybe try and garner a little bit of information from these newer, more unknown squads coming through here in the challenge season. I'm excited to kick things off with this first match, and then we'll be we're bookending it in a very interesting way. We've got some new teams in the very beginning and some very known and solidified teams for the last match of the day. So if you're at home, make sure that you're settling in for a very exciting day of Call of Duty Mobile. We'll probably also get a better lay of the land by the end of today, seeing how some of these teams play out. We'll have some answers for roster swaps, if they were beneficial or not. I'm excited. Either way, though, this is time for you guys to get up and meander onto the other half of the studio so we can get into match number 1. Go ahead.
All right, let's get it. This is this is a really interesting way to get the challenge season started. It's really unknowns on unknowns on unknowns, but you know, I think I'm hoping at the bare minimum that Disciples have been putting in some work and have gotten some good reps on some of these competitive maps, because once again, very different map setup than what we have in ranked. And I don't know. I think Disciples could maybe give some of these top 4, top 5 teams a run for their money.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? I think, you know, this is going to be a story that we constantly reference when it comes down to this season is, are we going to see some of these teams that maybe are more unknown, the rank play grinders, as kind of we've referred to them in the past, actually come out here and take maps, even matches off that kind of holy trinity, the top 3, as it were. And I think, for me, step number 1 needs to be vary the map pool, right? And then that's a really good point that we're seeing right here in the very first match of the day is you've got those S&D maps that you wouldn't normally expect to see, Slums and Express, excuse me, my brain went there for a second. Yeah, Slums and Express. Really excited to see what we get to see when we get towards the search and destroy. For now, though, let's get things kicked off here with the takeoff hardpoint. Bobby, this is a map that we always love to see in COD Mobile. We see it so often.
Yep, definitely lots of VOD for these guys to have studied heading into this, especially if any of them were watching Stage 5 of the World Championships. It is going to be Disciples making entry right here. Shots from low ground, Obey not able to connect. Definitely one of the more solid players for this Disciples squad from what we saw during that 128 team bracket. And Team NBA actually able to get some early time right here, so showing a little bit of fight. Definitely the underdogs heading into this one.
Yeah, it is worth saying we got to see Team NBA once during the Open Finals, and that was in their qualification matchup versus the team that didn't manage to make it towards today, and that was Zero Remorse. They ended up losing this very map to Zero Remorse, and it was a couple of key rotations in which they lost. And I'm going to say this for a lot of teams today, Bobby. I need to see these teams making improvements, going back, watching the VOD, sitting down with their coaches at the Gotham, and saying this is where we need to improve. So excited to see those rotations, or those improvements, excuse me, from Team NBA if we do get to see them. For the moment, though, they are actually in control of the rotation for P2, so it looks like they've learned something.
Yeah, definitely a solid setup right here. They're going to abandon scrap time and PV's going to be able to push on in. I don't know where the awareness was for RZA as he was completely blindsided by that push. Disciples in prime position and maybe a bit of an early rotation for Team NBA. You'd like to see them push out a little bit further, get some more map control rather than stacking everybody onto that objective. Made it really easy for Disciples to push in. Kato going to be able to find another one right there. And Team NBA doing their best to keep on right here. Smoke's giving them some cover. And even despite that mistake, they've been able to do a good job staying on this hard point.
Yeah, Team NBA, they're hanging around at the moment. Disciples trying to get rid of them. Not going to be able to do it just yet. Looking for more kills. Light able to find his way through for at least one. Has to turn around for the kill versus Obey, but Obey going to take him down. And for the moment, Team NBA here with 25 seconds left on this hill. You got to remember, folks, this is not favorable spawns for them. They're going to need to try and venture through this hard point for the last 20 seconds and then try and flip the map for the all-important rotation towards P3. And you can already see Disciples. I mean, look at number 5 and number 2, Hope and Kato. They are already here. They're ready for that rotation.
Coldest trying to set up right here, cut off these rotations. RZA is going to hop out, and he's going to be able to read for at least one, but Jay shuts him down right there. A lot of conversation going around about the OTM mag on the DR8. Those guys showing just how powerful it is, and Hope's going to look to lock down the backside as the claw finally comes out. A pred has been earned right here for Kato, and he's looking to lock down this entryway. Nobody making it through for the time being for Team NBA. More shots down. He's going to be able to connect, and the reinforcements are there for Disciples.
Yeah, there's a lot of utility on side at the moment for Disciples, and you're already seeing them start to utilize it quite literally here. I mean, you see the Purifier in hand, you just saw the claw coming out from Kato, and now the Streaks 2 Hunter Killer being utilized by Kato. Obey starting to really fire up here. It's kind of funny when you see the Purifier as the H2O, but regardless, still getting all the kills that Disciples require here for basically the remainder of this time. Team NBA are still going to push it, but again, we now hit the 20-second mark now where, yeah, they can still go in for the scrap time, but you need to make sure you rotate here. This is one of those all-important money rotations, P3 to P4. If you let Disciples get this, you might let them slip away with the game.
And Kato actually able to earn an EMP right here, so still working on some streaks. Looks like Team NBA going to go ahead and chalk it, go next. One player already dropped off that rotation, and they have got to be able to lock down high ground. Kato rips through another right there, and it looks like an opportunity for Team Disciples to rip this one wide open. There is nobody on the hard point for Team NBA, but a Sparrow should be able to shut down any entry right here, and Obey is going to be able to find 3 more with the Switchblade in hand.
I feel like we haven't seen a single good specialist play, operator play out of Team NBA yet. I don't know if that's because they haven't earned them yet. I'm sure they will have done by this point, but Disciples has been so much better with theirs the entirety of this game thus far. Every single time we see Disciples with an operator in hand, it is used to good. And now their lead is just growing to not quite an insurmountable amount just yet, but still, does Team NBA got to get their butts in this game pretty quickly. For the moment, here we go. This is an opportunity to do so. Finally, might we see some utilization of the Sparrow from Jay? Well, he puts in some shots, not really going to connect with much of anything, and that means every single second of time goes away Disciples. Again, not just P3, but also for P4.
The biggest difference right now is the consistency. You look at the kill count for Disciples across the board, fairly consistent with the exception of PV, but over on Team NBA, it's Jay and RZA picking up probably 75% of the kills between the two of them at this point. You've got to find more out of the rest of your squad. You look at Light and Nasty using very, very off-meta guns. The RUS just not going to be able to keep up against the meta. You got to see some changes right there if your team is going to have a shot up against this level of competition.
Yeah, and I will say here as we go into the second set, it's not like Team NBA giving away these rotations. They're just losing the crucial gunfights. They're just not finding as much value with their operators. If they can change their things going into the second set, well, maybe they'll have better fortunes here towards the back half of this game. For the moment, though, they've just got to stop the slaying power. PV and Hope finding 3 between them. You've got the equalizers now out as well for PV, and oh man, the slaughter doesn't look to be over just yet. Doladenga at least find 1 in here for the last 20 seconds, but just time and time again, every time we see something from Team NBA, Disciples, they find a way to answer it back. They get just more kills than them and more map control as well.
And Team NBA, like you said, they're doing a good job of the rotations, but they don't seem to have a really good grasp on how to actually secure those rotations and give themselves a chance at locking things in. PV's going to be able to find 2 right there with the Hunter Killer in hand. And time again, putting your team on the hard point, but you're not locking down spawns. You're not having anybody set up for those rotation kills, and it's costing you big time if you're Team NBA. I think we're going on close to 100 points straight for Team Disciples as they've taken full control of this matchup, and Team NBA scrambling right now, trying to find some semblance of hope in this one.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to find it at the moment, though. We've got to see some better operator usage out of this squad. They've got 2 on side. Hazier and Light have them in the back pocket ready to go. If I'm them, I'd kind of use it right about now, to be honest. 30 seconds left on the hill. Once again, they're stuck in that situation where they're spawning in no man's land as far as the rotation towards next is concerned. And actually, I believe there, as Hope pushes through a little bit too far, he flips out the spawn so they now actually have a chance at the rotation. Big 1v1 going down over by next. Hope, I believe, versus number 3 on the minimap. And actually, number 3 is actually going to win that one out. Excuse me. It's going to be Obey, who gets a Predator missile off the back of it as well. You cannot allow those gunfights to go Disciples' way, and the story that has happened every single rotation will continue. RZA is still chilling by Nu, but he goes down, and all hope of the rotation is lost.
And they're going to be spawning out. One player actually spawns close right here. That's going to be Light, so an opportunity for him to make his way on into the hard point. PV doesn't recognize that he's gone upstairs, but as that happens, Hope finds 2 more with the Pred missile in hand. Obey connects for 1 right there. And time again, there's just not enough value being found for Team NBA. They lock things in for a little bit right here. You've got to find big value off of these operators. Equalizer, arguably the best operator in the game. He gets shut down right there, and once again, Disciples able to make their way in the hard point.
And you've got to go now, Team NBA. You've got to start using your operators right about now. So much to contest with, though, in the form of Disciples. Hope is going to find the double. PV with number 3 as well. RZA, the only player to have something to say. Players all around this hill for Team NBA. If they can collapse at the right time, this could well be good, but all of the angles are being watched. The smoke is down. Shooting through it is going to be player number 4. Kodis looking for the kill, and, well, I mean, Kato will be the player to find it. Team NBA able to slide on through for the back 10 seconds here, so we will find ourselves towards a P4 regardless of what happens, but look at the minimap, Bobby. It's all blue over by P4 already.
Yeah. And obviously, there's so little room for error right here that Team NBA not only need to find a break, but they can't really afford to give up any scrap time on one end or the other of the hard point. PV's pushed all the way out. Can't find anybody through the smoke, but hops out the other side. And what do you know? 2 more players waiting for him as that's a 3-piece. The equalizer comes out. He's going to be able to lock down that opposite side doorway. And that should be game right here unless we see a huge Sparrow usage for Jay. 3 operators out right now for Team Disciples, and they continue to push out with the Switchblade in hand. That should be enough for them to lock in map number 1 right here as they put Team NBA in the 100-point club.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of talking about the storyline throughout basically the entirety of that matchup, and it didn't change at all. I don't think there was a single rotation that went Team NBA's way. If they did hold a rotation, it was for all of 5 to 10 seconds. I can last longer than that. It is just insane how good the rotations were from Disciples there. And again, I gotta say, it wasn't like they were giving away the rotations for free, right? Disciples, they earned them. They won all of the crucial gunfights. You saw so many crucial 2-pieces come out of players like Hope and Obey. This is exactly the same kind of stuff that we saw from the Open Finals.
Yeah, and this is what you really like to see. You can tell that Team Disciples have been putting in the work. Obviously, part of the question going to be, have they improved that much, or is this just the level of competition making them look better than they actually are? So heading into the Search and Destroy, hoping to see some consistency in their game plan and their strategy, and hoping to see them take things seriously. They absolutely did that a lot of times when you get in blowout games like that. Sometimes teams will just kind of goof around and not take it seriously. I was happy to see that they were 100% on the follow-through right there to make sure they want to buy as much as possible, but definitely still a lot for them to prove, and I'm hoping they can do that in the Search and Destroy.
Yeah, and again, even beyond the rotations, and these are things that we're going to be consistently referring back to because it's a kind of a through line from the Open Finals, from these teams that did qualify, where we saw kind of these small mistakes being made that can lead to rather large differences in scorelines. It's not just about the rotations, but also about the operator utilization, and just the operators that we saw from Disciples were just so much significantly better. There was no value whatsoever being found by Team NBA. But here's a look over towards the scoreboards there. I mean, when I, again, watch back the Open Finals, if there was one name that was consistently performing in their matchup versus Zero Remorse to qualify, it was Hope. And unsurprisingly here, he almost goes quadruple positive at 40 and 12 with 1 minute 30 in the hill as well, by the way.
Yeah, phenomenal stat line for him and for the rest of the squad, realistically. You look And once again, the RZA did his best. I mean, when your entire team's getting cooked like that, being able to put up a stat line like 22 and 37 doesn't sound good, but it's actually pretty impressive because when you got teams feeding, C-Nasty going 6 and 37, that's a lot of kills that are being fed over toward the opposition. No map control to work with, and once again, you got to have more consistency across the board for your entire squad. Obviously, these guys didn't have a whole lot of time to prep, but hopefully that means we'll see even larger improvements out of them as we progress through the challenge season.
Well, that's map number 1 done and dusted at the very least, mate. Map number 2 is coming up. Search and Destroy, you talked about it. Slums is going to be next on the docket. Again, we look back towards the Disciples matchup, the Search and Destroy that they played. They looked pretty good. And I think the thing is, again, versus Zero Remorse, and this is what happened back in that qualifier matchup. When they played Zero Remorse in map number 1, they were kind of tentative in the way that they played, right? They were being cautious. About halfway through the game, they started to get aggressive because they could realize they could get away with making easy mistakes. Zero Remorse was letting that happen. When it came down to the Search and Destroy, that aggression carried through, and they started getting right in the face of Zero Remorse. I expect much the same thing here against Team NBA.
We'll see what they can do. This is definitely a map that tends to be dominated by utility, so you can see it flying all across the map. Nothing able to connect for a kill. The Hope very weak. Coldest going to be able to ward off one. C-Nasty dropping off the bat, and once again, definitely a bit of a liability for this Team NBA roster, at least in what we've seen so far. Definitely an unnecessary reach out of JJ right there as well. And that is full map control over toward that B bomb site, although a couple players get taken down right there. RZA is going to be able to find another. And just like that, we're into a 3v3.
And bomb now going to be down here for Disciples. Okay, taking some shots out with the sniper rifle all across the map here of this team. Light, getting stuck on the middle of the map there is Kato. Light going to punish him for it. Abela though with a challenge, looking for the double. Dollar Dame going to deny. And now PV here for the 1v2. I think Bomb is actually part of him for this situation. He's found the first against RZA. Now the 1v1. Dollar Dame unsure about whether PV is going to make his way through Graveyard or not. I'm not too sure how much time is left on the clock here. Gotta make sure you get the kill ideally. Now you spotted out the player. Do you go for the chase? Yes, it's absolutely on here. Dollar Dame around the corner, but PV gonna win the 1v1. And PV again, position for him perfectly was that bomb plant, and he just makes it work.
Not gonna lie, there were a lot of mistakes made for both squads right there. I'm not really sure what's happening with Kato. He was kind of staring down the opposition and just not really taking a shot. So maybe a little bit of nerves right there for both squads, but Disciples, as expected, lock it in. Take that round number 1. Solid mid-map control early right here for Team NBA. We'll see if they can do anything with it. They cannot. C-Nasty shut down once again. This time it's going to be a fast plant over on the B side as Obey trying to lock down this statue area. He's able to do that, and that is a nice heady to work with. Dollar Dame, why are we challing right there? Coldest making it look easy as Disciples take a clean round number 2.
It's exactly what I said, right? Again, Disciples getting aggressive right off the start of the round. They get the bomb down super duper quickly. And NBA, I mean, the round is over before they even realize what has hit them. This is what I would be concerned about if I was Team NBA. You've got to start putting a stop to the aggression right about now. And I think the way you do it is just by playing a little bit more passively than you otherwise would. Prepare for them to get right in your face. Disciples this time around, though, have to deal with a very aggressive Team NBA squad that made their way all the way to the bomb site, but this is how they deal with it. Little slide chows out towards the open. Obey gonna take Nasty down. Dollar Dame, though, with a double snipe, at least makes this a plausible situation for NBA.
Well, he's gonna back up, doesn't realize there's somebody on the chase. Light's gonna be able to shut him down. That leaves PV all alone to try to clutch a 1v2, but we've seen Disciples make this happen before. Bomb has been dropped over by Garage, so he's going to wait, see if he can find any information. And it looks like they're pretty content to sit at home. He's going to overchow right there. They do a good job of playing together and taking him down. So Team NBA going to be able to find their first round right here. We'll see if they can continue to build that momentum.
Yeah, and it's like I said, right, the adaptations, they were there for that round for Team NBA. They push up hyper aggressively through the middle of the map, and Disciples, I'm not too sure what they expected it. Certainly didn't have much room to breathe whatsoever. That double snipe from Dollar Dame most certainly did help, but now we reset ourselves for round number 4, and Team NBA are doing the exact same thing once again. Look at the players through the middle of the map, players keeping an eye over by Blue as well, being extra cautious about the fact that Disciples might well change their strategy here towards A.
They're giving up a lot of real estate right now. Full mid-map control here for Team NBA, and honestly, better than I would have expected from them given their experience level heading into this one, but they're going to push all the way through the garage. Kato's not going to be able to read this, can't connect on the shots. Pistol comes out, no kills, somehow Light's not going to be able to find that one, and Hope finds another onto RZA. Huge opportunity missed there for Team NBA as they now find themselves down another couple of players. All down to C Nasty, who is still yet to pick up a kill, but he finds PV right there. Opportunity for the 1v4.
All right, well, that's a start. 1v4, this would be sensational start to the SBS, but just not going to happen. I'll be honest with you there, Bobby. I like the initial strat from Team NBA. It's exactly what worked from the prior round. I don't understand why you need to push up towards Garage. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It is not a good play, even in the slightest. And that's just going to give Disciples the round away for free. That is a round that might well come back to bite them in the rear later on in this game. We shall see, though, whether or not that will be the case. Disciples now should find themselves with a second wind. Will it help them into this round? Number 5 is going to be the question. Much the same strategy out of Team NBA through the middle of the map, but Coldest has spotted a couple of players sliding across the middle. And look at that triple chow coming through from Disciples. They are body stacking the mid-map.
And they actually end up paying for it. Obey trying to take down his own teammate right there. PB is going to be able to find RZA with the R9 in hand, and now Dala Dame left to try to clutch up with the 1v3 of his own. Should have been heard by Hope on the outside. There it is. Deagle shots connect right there as Disciples take yet another round. And once again, going back to what you're talking about, big overextension by Team NBA. Once they got that mid-map control, would love to see them exercise a little bit more self-control, sit back, let the game come to you, especially once you've established those positions that you want to be in. Got to find ways to capitalize on those advantages that you get.
And look at this from Disciples. This is one of those strats coming right out of the playbook. They are body stacking this A site. All 5 players through blue. Hope going to open things up with the first blood across the map against Light. And Team NBA, I mean, they've pulled off the same strategy the last 4 rounds in a row. You know exactly what they're going to do if they're Disciples. The final snipe coming through from Hope as well. That is a perfect read and adaptation situation coming out from Disciples.
Well, heading on over to the flip side, Team NBA with a lot of work to do. On the offense, typically for the less experienced teams, gonna be tougher to make these reads, and looks like they're just gonna go ahead, opt a full send over to A and hope they can bull rush their way through. C Nasty looking for an entry frag. He doesn't even bother to look inside the room. He's just gonna full send it, and he pays. Hope able to find 2 right there. Another for Obey. Hope finds a third, and only 1 player left. All down to Jay, nearly gets wall banged right there, but the slide out from PV, R9 in hand, and 1 more round needed for Disciples to take the 2-0 lead.
Hope, more like no hope for Team NBA here. I'm sorry, I've got to come out with the cheesy ones early on, mate, but Disciples 1 round away now from taking this search and destroy again in a manner very similar to the fashion in which they won it versus Zero Remorse in their qualifier matchup to even be here. And that aggression now starting to pay off. The strategies now starting to pay off for Disciples, and it's them now on the defense. Can Team NBA get past that first line of defense? Obey says no with a double, and now just down to J and RZA here. They have no map control whatsoever.
That's just a skill difference right there. He absolutely obliterates them. R9 comes through, doesn't see the player behind the van, but he's going to be able to turn around. Good calls from the teammates, and Team Disciples running through this one. Team NBA, as expected, a lot of work to do, a lot of VOD to be studied. Based on the way they played that Slums, I would guess maybe try to ban off and find an S&D that you're a little more comfortable with.
You see, I don't know if that's the solution, to be honest. I don't know what, because at this point, you know, I don't think it's necessarily about the map. I think it's about the fundamentals that we saw from them. And again, it's the same sort of situation where it's like, you know that a team's playing hyper-aggressive, and they recognize that, right? I mean, we saw that in round number 3 where they changed their strat. They're like, right, we're just going to go try get mid-map control early on. We know that the Disciples is going to fly at us, so let's just take advantage of that. They did that, and they got a round straight off. But then they started making small little mistakes that just do not benefit them whatsoever. I think round number 4 was probably the most notable one where they have mid-map control and they decide to push through to Garage for no real reason. And I think past that point, it's like Disciples are like, well, okay, we know that we can kind of get these guys to make some mistakes, so why don't we just try and play our own game here? That's exactly what they do. We see some great strats coming out from Disciples, that aggression that I talked about where they have this triple trow through the middle of the map. Disciples, once they start to get comfortable, they can look like a really deadly squad. And talking big picture here for a second, Bobby, this is what we want to see. We want to see a squad like Disciples being able to do this, not necessarily just against Team NBA, but against the big boys.
Yeah, no question. This is really starting to look pretty much like a warm-up for them as they handle that one with relative ease outside that one round that they lost that realistically probably should have been won as well. We'll see what they're bringing into the control is, once again, control the only mode that's not currently in ranked. And so for these guys that play ranked on a regular basis, going to be one of the more confusing modes to learn and especially to master. But it definitely seems like these guys have a solid grip on the play of the game. And I've got a feeling that we're going to see an even larger gap here between these two teams heading into the control.
Yeah, look, we'll see, right? I mean, because the thing is, again, for the most part, Team Disciples are still unknowns. I will say that much. You know, we still don't know too much about them other than what a great performance they had in the Open Finals to even be here, and of course what we've seen from the first couple of maps against this NBA squad. So we'll see whether or not their control is on point. Again, I go back to the point that I've made here coming into this entire broadcast, right? It's like, look, you've had a couple of months, right, plus to refine your gameplay, to get better, to when you know you're going to play these top teams in North America, you know your control needs to be good. Surely that has to be priority here.
Yeah, no question. And once again, that's that much more difficult for Team NBA to go up against, having been a last-second addition to the competition. So it's going to be a good starting point. And I think especially for both of these teams, whether it's Team Disciples or Team NBA, having the ability to go back and look at the VOD and see what areas you can improve on, even if it is a map that you won, being able to identify those mistakes and ways that you can improve for when you are going up against those top dogs who are not going to make the mistakes that the opposition making. So we'll see what they can do right here. Obviously, mid-map control going to be an absolute must for both of these squads. Nobody able to make their way across that alleyway. And right now, a bit of a waiting game, but finally a couple players able to open things up for Disciples as they find two.
Initially, Team NBA, you can see the cautiousness coming out their gameplay right off the start of this round. They don't want to push too far aggressively. Just trying to beg corners in the middle of the map. Here's Dollar Dame. He actually finds a kill off the back of that as well. But regardless of the cautiousness that they exercise at the start of the round, they still can't keep Disciples away from the point. And indeed, now they're starting to get aggressive. Abe trying to find his way through the garage there will be punished for it. Coldest, though, wants to deal with both of these players. Will at least find the first, but that is a nice trade from Dollar Dame at the moment. This is a very back and forth start to the game. But generally speaking, when you're on the defense here, you want to try and get yourselves forward as far as possible to try and set up a spawn trap. Team NBA haven't been able to do that just yet.
Yeah, one player able to make their way through smoke, but that's going to be C Nasty. He's shut down right there. RZA able to find trades, but once again, it's Team Disciples finding the better of them. It is going to be Team NBA able to wipe off the progress right here, and PV's not really going to have a good angle to work with, but able to find one onto Jay anyway. Progress been totally wiped, but Dollar Dame seemed very content to continue sitting on the objective. Cold is finally making his way forward, and the lives have started to grow in their disparity right now as we do see Hope finding some streaks to work with as well. Team NBA with a tough task, not only to wipe away this progress, but being aware of those lives as well.
Yeah, the lives is probably the biggest problem here, right? With 35 seconds left on the clock, that's more than enough time for Disciples to wipe Team NBA off the map twice. Now down to just their final 5 lives. RZD wants to be careful, can't win that gunfight versus Coldest. It's yellow across the kill feed here. Coldest going to find yet another one, and now just down to the final 3. And again, it gets even worse for Team NBA. If they were excited to maybe finish this round via the clock to try and just play survival, that's not going to happen as A is captured. They are on the hunt for these last 2 players, and look at Nasty on the other side of those boxes. He is trying to play hide and seek, and I tell you what, PV, he's a hide and seek world champion, mate.
I don't know if C Nasty realizes that when you're on the objective, it flashes so the other team knows that you're on the objective. So that was maybe a little bit of unnecessary information given away. Light is going to throw down a smoke in this 1v18. And another mistake being made right here is you realistically want to die as quickly as possible, because the more ticks of progression that you give away, that more likelihood that the opposition is going to have defense in the final round. So once again, more to learn from for this Team NBA squad, but getting 18-1 in round 1, not a great sign for the rest of them.
Yeah, it is worth saying that there are some maps where maybe that isn't necessarily true, like Raid, for example, which can be considered offensively sided, just considering how kind of quickly you can capture the points, how close to the spawn that A point is. But here on Crossroads, that's not true. And certainly you do want the defense for a round number 5. Disciples, though, I think more pertinent issue for the NBA. Look at the amount of yellow on the top right. And I'm not just talking about in terms of the actual color of the team, the amount of utility. Cold Coldest has got the Annihilator out. He already finds a double. You've got about 5 or 6 streaks across the board ready to go, and all of these operators are coming out right at the start of this round.
Yeah, they're trying to get this spawn trap set up ASAP. Purifier going to be able to find another one right there. See Nasty. Communication just doesn't seem to be there for Team NBA. That is a trade that has got to happen. Dala Dame's shut down, and Obey is just running willy-nilly anywhere he wants to on the map. Here's some audio from those footsteps. Going to be able to find another one right there. Once again, how has he not been traded? There is a Team NBA player standing directly behind him that has absolutely no idea what's happening. And I don't know that these guys are actually communicating at all. Like, I think they may genuinely just be playing this like a rank match.
I mean, look, dude, sometimes you just want to play COD Mobile, you want to have a bowl of chicken nuggets in your lap, and you just want to have a good time. You don't want to be communicating with people. You can't be doing that here. Team NBA not having a good go of it whatsoever, and you talked about it right at the start of the round, right? The objective here with all this operator utilization is to get this spawn trap that I mentioned at the very beginning of this game. That is exactly what has happened here. They've let one player past, but I thought for a second the Hunter Killer drone in the air would have actually dealt with Nasty. Living up to his name is actually causing a bit of a problem over by A. The bigger problem, though, more pertinently, is that there's no lives on the board for Team NBA. That start for Disciples, I mean, look, generally speaking, that's not the most efficient usage of the operators. You want to try and spread them out a little bit more than that, but I think against a roster like Team NBA, with how this series has gone so far, I don't think Disciples care.
Yeah, it's, there's not really much I can do to paint a storyline where Team NBA find a way to come back in this one. Just a massive, massive gap between these teams. I think Light finally getting an operator for the first time right here, so he's going to pop the equalizer, see what he can find. You need maximum value right here, and his team is getting torn to pieces. He's literally just running laps around the map trying to find somebody, but he can't because they're all obliterating his teammates. He still has not. There's no way he has headphones. There's no. Okay, we finally get a kill. We get a two-piece right there. Thank goodness. Oh, that was very concerning. I was worried we were going to see the full 30 seconds go away.
Alrighty, it's all good. Disciples started this round as they intend to go on. They're already 8 lives up here. Still got a bit of utility on side as well. Coldest, I believe, with the Predator missile, and Obey has his operator ready to go. But look at this spawn trap now being enacted. Hope just keeping an eye on all the players coming out here from the snow side. That's just to get found out by Jay there. So that's a good pick from Team NBA. But the problem that has kind of been there the entirety of the game so far continues to happen to them. Look at the life disparity. It grows every single second we remain here on Crossroads.
Nice little flick out of Coldest right there. He's going to be able to clear off that B side. Players on A once again as he's able to get the partial capture right there. Can't quite connect with the Annihilator. C Nasty stays alive, but looking like it's only a matter of time as players on both objectives. They are going to be able to clear off over onto A, but Hope should be able to lock in the rest of the progress right here, and they don't need it. Another 15 life lead, 0 remaining for Team NBA, and that is a quick 3-0 to get things started here in our challenge season.
Yeah, I thought this might happen somewhere along the line today. Again, you know, we talk about kind of the tier of teams. We've talked quite a bit about the top 3 teams, the Holy Trinity of North America. We've got kind of these challenger teams like Truly that we want to talk about today. And then you've got kind of these newer teams. So we don't really know what to expect from them. I think we know what to expect from Disciples at the very least. For Team NBA, our expectations at the moment are relatively low. They just weren't up to par with what Disciples are bringing to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Hoping to see some improvement out of these guys is, once again, an opportunity for them to be able to look back at what they're doing, what their opposition's doing, and find ways to improve. But there's a lot of work to be done, I think, especially in the control. We saw a solid start out of those guys in the hard point, and I think that's the one where they definitely looked the most comfortable. But come search and destroy, come the control, I am hoping to see some changes out of them. And I don't know if their last player's able to play, but C-Nasty was definitely on the struggle bus, so maybe look at some changes to the starting lineup as well.
Well, that was not a good game for NBA. Looking over towards the 3-0 here, Team Disciples. I mean, like, normally in this situation, you're like, oh my god, a player from Team Disciples did so well. I don't know if there's much to analyze because all of them did so well.
Let's just call it the jitters, nerves. First time competitive nerves. We're gonna, and that's, listen.
We can't call it
It's a competition. There has to be a winner and there has to be a loser every time. That's how it works. We don't work in ties here. So Disciples start off the season with a 3-0, quick 3-0, and we'll have to see what they can bring. This was a learning opportunity. You said it a couple times, Bobby. This is an opportunity to really take away a lot, whether that is communication, whether that's teamwork, whether that's rotation, specific gameplay mechanics, like whatever it is. Now's the time to learn it and see what you could do in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, no question about it. I think especially for Disciples, because obviously the most question marks left around them. Looked really good right here, but is it enough to be able to challenge those top dogs? So I am excited to see what they're able to do, and obviously we do have other matches that are happening off broadcast as well. So I'm not sure if they're playing again tonight, but if they are going up against one of those top 3, realistically, I would say top 4. I feel like truly is in that same caliber as your Rejects, your Mayhems, your Luminosities. Maybe some more work to do, but they've definitely got the talent level that's there, and I think the rest of the 4 teams are really looking to prove that they deserve to be there too.
I have an answer to a part of that for off-stream matches, because Team NBA did have to play the Rejects, so the Rejects won 3-0. So, I mean, Rejects we were expecting to be at the top of the table anyways. We knew that was a team that's going to be really hard for these other teams to go up against. So they also start off with a victory under their belt for Team Rejects, which is going to take me a little while to get used to saying.
Yeah, it's going to take me a lot. I've been saying Tribe Gaming for the last like 3.5 years of COD Mobile esports. It's going to take me a really long time to get that one out of my brain. So I just be prepared for all of my miscues throughout the season. I apologize in advance for them, but it's going to take some getting used to.
All right, well, we're going to give Bobby a break's worth of time to get used to it, because we have another match coming up right around the corner, and it is with the Rejects versus Saints. So quick break. When we return, match number 2 coming right at you.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series. Match number 2 is about to get underway. Day 1 of our challenge season here for NA, and it was Disciples coming away with a very decisive 3-0 victory in match number 1, starting themselves off strongly here on day number 1. I'm excited to continue on with our matches because we have really fun matches coming up around the corner as well. The next one that we're going to be talking about, we mentioned before the break, is going to be Sane versus Rejects. Rejects already getting a win on the off-stream match as well, Brody. A team that's going to be hard to topple, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, look, they might have changed orgs. They haven't changed rosters much, we'll say that much, right? They are still going to be one of our top 3 teams. I think, you know, look, in the past, maybe Rejects have not had the most consistent run of things in terms of beating the likes of LG and Mayhem. It's kind of been very back and forth, but now they've got Envy on the roster. And now it's like, for me, how much does that change things? Because Envy is a powerhouse player, and I feel like with this roster move, they might well just take top spot in North America.
Ooh.
That's a big claim.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's that far off. I think the addition of Envy could be exactly what this Rejects team needed. There are a lot of people that were surprised to see that he was not going to be competing with Luminosity, and obviously with LG being the top team, more than likely not his decision, but the players that he's playing with right here are absolute tanks. You've got Solo, who's, I would argue, one of the best SMGs in the world. S-Thug cracked on the AR. Jez is a world champion, and Raballo is a phenomenal OBJ. So I think all these guys together have a lot of potential, and I'm curious to see how they gel.
I like that. You're setting up some serious storylines. If you can get that claim to, if they do well for like 2.5 weeks, that could be very exciting for NA. We'll have to see how they do, but we'll talk about Sane's roster a little bit as well, highlight them. Anything you want to tell me here, Brody?
Honestly, this is one of the rosters where we look at it and it's mostly unknowns, but I believe there are some names that if you kind of follow COD Mobile, just even outside of the SPS, you will recognize them, Jinkatsu and Bright most notably. But beyond that, again, this is one of those rosters where we're kind of looking at it and we're saying, look, this is a chance to get your name out there, say that you can be kind of one of the top COD Mobile players here in North America, and really, you know, just make a name for yourselves, taking down one of the top rosters in North America.
Absolutely. All right, well, we'll have to see what Sane can bring to the Rejects, see how they hold up here. This map veto could potentially inform some of their gameplay. I believe it's ready, so we'll pull that up, start talking about what our teams have decided. Hardpoint comes through here, Bobby.
I don't love Arsenal for Sane. That's one that especially the more experienced teams like Rejects are going to feel very, very confident on, and especially with how solid the ARs are. When you've got Envy being thrown into that mix and you got just a pure slayer like S-Thug, assuming that Jez is going to be on AR as well, that's going to be a nasty 3-man setup that's going to be tough for this Sane roster to deal with.
Yeah, I will say I do like the Hacienda pick. I like seeing that when in any map set. So if we do get to a map number 4, if we get to a map number 4, that's going to be fun. Tunisia on map number 2, though. This is going to be a really interesting one. This is one of the newer maps that they've added here to COD Mobile. And I think teams are still kind of somewhat getting used to it. It could well be a chance to maybe throw off Rejects. Even I almost said Tribe there for a second. It's going to be a good chance here to throw off Rejects. Whether or not that'll be the case, though, is an entirely different story because on any map, they are an S&D powerhouse.
All right.
Yeah, I think S&D is definitely where Rejects have the most room for improvement. Their hardpoint looked super solid in Stage 5, but the Search and Destroy looked rough at a number of different points. The Raid should be a comfortable point for them as well, as they've got a lot of reps on that one. I'm curious what the Tunisia is going to look like, because that's actually the map that Tribe faced off against LG during our challenge season. Had a 3-0 lead, and then got completely reverse swept the rest of the way through. So the addition of Envy, I would think, should give them some strategic advantage as well, as that's one of LG's better map picks. So maybe a little bit of an opportunity for him to teach the squad as well.
All right. Well, I think match number 2 is pretty much ready to get underway. So we'll get you guys headed on over back to the other side of the studio so we can see how this one plays out.
All right. It should be an interesting one. Once again, there's It's tough to imagine a scenario where Rejects do not 3-0 this one. I would say, if anything, no disrespect to the players that are not on the roster anymore, but I do feel like Rejects have upgraded with the addition of Envy into this starting lineup. So obviously that doesn't necessarily guarantee chemistry, but they are absolutely setting themselves up for success with what they've got right now.
Yeah, look, what I'll say this much, right? I mean, we talk about Rejects on the whole. Envy is going to be a great addition to this lineup, right? I mean, again, you watch back towards some of the champs lineups, and Envy rarely underperformed. Even in the matchup versus Godlike, Envy was just consistently putting up numbers pretty much every single map, besides the Meltdown Search and Destroy, which we don't need to talk about. But, you know, he is just going to be such a good addition to this Reject squad. For me, it's going to be a question of, look, a new player is just joined the lineup, right? How does that change things strategically for Rejects? Is there maybe a moment here where, look, these guys are still trying to put their strats together with Envy joining the lineup? Can maybe Sane take advantage of that? That's going to be the key thing for me. You've got rosters now that are potentially at the weakest point that you'll see them because they're still learning what they look like with their new lineups.
Yep. I think, like you talked about, Jinkatsu, absolutely a player to watch heading into this one. For those of you who remember the SXC roster that was in North America a while ago, he was no question the best player on that roster, and I know he's been putting in work, so I'm curious to see what he can do. I believe Bright was on the limited roster from last challenge season as well, so some experience there. Obviously, not nearly the level of experience that we've got for realistically anybody on Rejects, but maybe an opportunity to put a dent in some of these score lines and to start making a name for this same team.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, this is going to be something we'll be consistently referring back to, folks. We are looking to see whether or not any of these teams can take down some of the top dogs in North America. Again, because especially, and this is going to be one of those bigger points that we talk about, there are not that many spots at Masters for NA, right? I think it was, what, 2 for NA? Even within the top 3, that creates a little bit of friction, right? Because it means we're not going to be having one of those. So again, there's a lot here for these guys to work towards. Maybe Sane can come out with a bang here in the first match of the season for them, maybe the second, as they go head-to-head with one of the best squads in North America. It's going to be a tough match for sure. It's Rejects, formerly of Tribe Gaming. We'll try not to say it too much. Rejects into an Arsenal hardpoint to kick off the series.
Yeah, once again, don't love the Arsenal map pick. Obviously, this is probably a Rejects map pick if I had to guess, and we do see the flashes heading on out right here as they do look for some early control, seeing that DRH quickly coming into the meta, especially at the highest level. It is going to be Rejects making early entry into the hard point. Raballo not going to be able to find that one. Envy's there for the trade. That will be Rejects locking in some early time right here. Nice trades as S-Thug going to be able to take down 2, and no easy points of entry for this Sane roster.
Yeah, this is a really difficult hill to get into at times just because of all kind of the very small choke points at which you have to enter through the hill, but there is a lot of them. So if Sane play their cards correctly, they might well be able to break in. With 25 seconds left, that's not looking likely. Players now starting to find their way towards P2 as well. And what I was about to say about 5 seconds ago was that Sane might well just be better off making their way towards P2. To be fair, they've done it like that. Rima is going to find a double here, and Don will follow up with a third. So at least they've got a very good look in towards the rotation, but the blue arrows, they're already there. Sane, for the moment, will have to settle for scrap.
And it looks like Rejects are actually going to move Raballo to AR. Obviously, he was one of those first players that started to make the switch toward the DRH meta. He's going to be able to set up on the top side. Flashes connect right there, so that should be necessary information. He gets red, but not enough for them to make their way onto the objective, and Solo is there to continue locking down this top side area. No opportunity for Sane to find anything, and with 46 seconds still left on this hard point, they have got to find a way to get closer in here.
Yeah, generally speaking, you want to try and push your way around the back line. Actually, a God Spawn might have just come in from Bright, so they might be able to take advantage of this. There isn't actually that much time left on the hard point, though, so if they want to get some time off P2, they've got to do it right about now. Rima going to open things up there with the first blood. S-Thug going to trade things out, as is Rabaldo, though, so things looking pretty good if you're a Rejects fan for this hill in particular. Solo's going to spot Jinkatsu going off the top of that hill. 3 kills do come through, though, from Sane, and that means that 20 seconds of scrap time should be theirs, but they fought tooth and nail for what is ultimately 20 seconds of of scrap time, and now the Rejects should be able to play their cards right in terms of the rotation. I believe Jez will be the closest player to fighting for it if you're the Rejects.
Very interesting choice for S-Thug to stay back and try to fight for that scrap. That's going to leave him spawning miles away. Fortunately for him, teammates are there and already locking down time toward P3. Rabalo's going to be able to find another right there as the War Machine does come out, and that's going to be the first one to connect. Pred's coming down from above as well, and there's the double kill for Rabalo as he's able to lock in streaks right here. And once again, the map control for Sane pretty much non-existent. It's all reactionary plays out of these guys. They have got to find an opening foot on one of these hard points because Rejects are not giving away an inch.
Yeah, I really like this from the Rejects as well. They're bringing out some of these operators to garner a real early control over this game, and that is exactly what happened. Solo, the third player in a row here from Rejects to whip out their operator. He's only going to find one kill though, so not that much value in the grand scheme of things. But on the other side, Sane actually going to utilize their one streak that they had. The Predator missile comes down to ensure they get this back 30 and keeping themselves in touching distance, of the Reject side. But nonetheless, Reject's going to find their way in for the back 10 seconds here and keep about a 60-70 point advantage going in towards this next hard point. And now, let's talk about it. Let's see what they can do over here. Jez has already opened things up with the first couple of kills, and Jez getting hyper-aggressive over by P2 as well. I love this play to try and create some space for your team.
I don't really hate the approach that Sane had here, but once again, they just get purely gun skill diffed off of that one. Lose every rotational gunfight. Solo, might not be the gun fight that you want to take. Fortunately, teammates there for the trades, and my call on Jinkatsu being a player to watch, not looking great right now. Only one kill on the board. He's absolutely got to pick things up if Sane want to have a chance at this one. Envy headshots connect off of the claw right there. And it's a lot of operators getting invested for Rejects right here as they're looking for a full 60. Flashes do come through. Jez still waiting on the opposite side. Sparrow comes out, takes himself down, but the reinforcements are there for Rejects.
Yeah, and again, it's the same kind of story that we talked about right in the very first series of the day. The operator utilization for the Rejects has been pretty good, I think, all around, right? I think beyond like one, maybe another, they only picked up one frag. Everything for the Rejects has culminated in some time, at least some kind of break, some kind of contention against Sane, whereas Sane haven't really had that much to talk about. Maybe this is where things change a little bit here because the equalizer is going to be out for Don. He's going to get shut down though. 2 on side now from Jinkatsu and Bright. Make that number 3 for a Tapion. So this is a real good chance here, especially with those back spawns, for Sane to find something. Claw out now for Jinkatsu. Just going to be pre-firing through the door to stop any player he wants to make their way through. But patience being practiced here by Rejects before they fly through. And now Jez has no patience anymore. Finds the 3, will not find number 4, but Jinkatsu is isolated inside this hill.
He's going to get shut down, but find probably the best chunk of hardpoint time that Sane has seen all game long, so at least a starting point for this squad, but still giving away, what, 30 seconds of remaining time right here to Rejects. Not something that you can afford to happen with the gap being as big as it is. Envy still absolutely turns onto Tapion right there. And once again, it's a story of consistency. Tapion and Rima accounting for probably 80% of the squad's kills right now. The rest of the 3 just not able to keep up. And the gap between these teams getting bigger and bigger by the second.
Yeah, the Rejects just continue to hold all the cards here in this game. Can Sane change their fortune as we get into the second set here? That's the question from me. Rabalo trying to put a stop to any of that nonsense before they can even get a look at the hill, and he's being pretty successful. That's 3 for Rabalo here with the War Machine shutting the Rejects down. And this is the exact same story that we saw from the very first hard point of this entire game. Sane have a lot of points of entry, but the Rejects does not allow them through.
S-Thug locks down the back doorway, maybe doesn't. Swing and a miss with the Annihilator right there. Fortunately, Solo's there to reinforce, equalizer in hand. And once again, strongest operator in the game doing wonders for that Reject squad. Rabalo's going to be able to find 2. Nade is that second kill. And streaks have been earned once again as Rejects would like to go ahead and end things here on P1. Not very often you will see a P1 ending, at least on the second rotation whenever it comes to Arsenal hardpoint, but they are running the map. Looks like Sane going to be able to hop the objective to get enough contest time to push things over to a P2, but looking like it's only a matter of time as S-Thug's got that window control, shuts down any rotations to be found right here, and it looks like they're going to be set up in prime position as the Pred red drops for Roballo. Not sure he was able to find any kills off of it, but nonetheless, Jez in position to get these last 8 seconds. He's going to be able to shut down Rima, and that should be enough for Rejects to lock in the win on map number 1.
Yep, that's going to be all she wrote here for map number 1. Rejects taking it in a rather convincing fashion. And the story hasn't changed that much, folks, here between the first series and the second. It feels like very much a remake as, again, operator utilization from Rejects is sublime, and from their opposition, insane. Subpar, not what you'd want to see. And I don't think, again, that's their fault, right? The opportunity was not there. It really was like Rejects were never giving them the opportunity to really find many kills with their operators. The rotations were perfect from Rejects pretty much time and time again. Just outplayed them. I really, to be honest, I don't think Sane are at fault here.
Yeah, no question. It just shows how big the gap is when you've had this many opportunities to play against top-tier competition, not just for weeks, not just for months, but for years, and that's what everybody on this Reject squad has been doing. And it showed right there as the map control is there, the rotations were on point, operators were nearly untouchable, and once again, I don't think this is a Sane team that is realistically bottom 2, maybe even bottom 3 in North America. It just shows you how big the gap is between that top level of the competition. So I'm expecting Sane to continue to improve. I think they can probably put up a little bit of a better fight in the search and destroy as well, but once again, a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, and here's a look back towards the end of that map we saw from Rejects, where time and time again, Sane, they wanted to give them a go on the rotations. They just couldn't get it done. Here's Roballo with a key stop against 3 separate players trying to make their way through. And I mean, look, I'll be honest, P1 is very difficult to break once you don't have control, unless you kind of put a hit together at every single point of entry all at the same time. It's very difficult to kind of get that coordination into effect. And the Rejects, they know that. They know exactly how that game is going to go before we even started the game. And indeed, it did go exactly that way, with the Rejects taking it 250 to 63. Here's a look at the stats at the end of the game. Everybody positive, most of the players doubly so. Not surprised in the slightest.
Yep, and I would say I'm probably most disappointed in the performances we saw out of Bright and Jinkatsu. Obviously, Jinkatsu having a tough time slaying, but Bright only 1 second on the hard point. Like, I can understand if you're slaying out, you're trying to lock down some map control, whatever it is, but if you're going triple negative, there is absolutely zero reason that you should only have 1 second in the hard point.
I mean, look, maybe he's just allergic to hard points. You can't judge a guy. I mean, it could be a real condition that he's got. Clearly, though, not that effective at hard point are that roster of Sane. Now, you talked about it, maybe the Search and Destroy is better. Look, if we say one thing in Call of Duty Esports is that Search and Destroy wins championships. Now, there's not quite a championship on the line just yet. There is a game, and there is a chance to fight back against a Rejects roster on the line. So there's something here for Sane to work with. We'll see whether or not they're able to make the best of that.
I am curious what type of sniping lineup we see coming in for Rejects, as Jez is the only player historically that's filled that role. Don's going to be able to find an opener onto Roballo to get things started. So exactly what they're looking for, but S-Thug's there for not 1, but 2. Just like that, Rejects have found the man advantage. We'll see what Don can make of this, as he's going to be able to advance up a little bit. One player super isolated. That's going to be Bright, and he's going to be able to sniff out Jez. Should be traded right here, but Envy's not able to connect on the quick scope, and Bright's going to be able to find 2 for himself. That leaves Solo and S-Thug, but Solo drops, and just like that, S-Thug in a 1v3 up against this Sane squad.
Just got to be quiet about it. These players do have their headsets cranked up, so they'll hear him. I'm now down over by B, and now this is a much bigger problem here for S-Thug to try and pull off. He's looking for the ace in this round. Has already found the first 2 kills for Rejects. Can he find 3, 4, and 5? Players split up. That is some good news at the very least, even if they are watching every single point of entry, that he can pick them off and won't be succumbing to a trade. And there you go, Bright with an egregious challenge out there. Wanted to try and check up the hill. S-Thug's going to take him down for it, but 15 seconds on the clock here, not a lot of time to make this work.
And there's the flash. That's all the information you need, and realistically shouldn't be any way that S-Thug can clutch this. All that Sane have to do is sit back, not overchow. Tapion's going to be there for the trade, and there it is. Sane taking round 1. We knew that Rejects' weakest mode coming into this was going to be search and destroy, and they've got to lock things in here because this Sane squad have shown some early potential, and you don't want to mess around too much and risk throwing one of these away.
Alrighty, great start from Sane here in the Search and Destroy. Is that the set piece that we wanted to see? Rejects going to stack on towards A. It's a good read as far as where the bomb has gone off the start of the round, but you can see Sane on the minimap. They might well be considering a rotation towards B. At the moment, just hedging their bet, but as Don goes down now, they might want to find something a little bit more solid to play out the rest of this round.
We got Bright forced through mid-map again, but that time not going to be able to find Jez. Jinkatsu can't connect with the snipe, and now all down to Rima. He's going to be able to find one right here, but he's looking for a 1v5. And right now, it looks like Reject's going to be content to sit back. Bomb is down in the mid-map as well. He's going to make it that much more difficult. And Solo in a nasty spot off the side of this entry. He's going to have to hit a god-tier quickscope, and it's not meant to be, as with the PKM, he's going to be able to take him down as Rejects bounce back to tie things up.
Unconventional, but it does the job. Rejects there in that round, playing super aggressive, getting the early picks, and Sane looks like a headless chicken. I don't know why that's got you so much. Like a headless chicken at the end of the round. Regardless, the Rejects now looking to follow that up with yet another round victory here, and it's a strategy much the same. 3 players on A, 2 players on B, and Sane just playing this one cautiously. Generally speaking, though, we've seen this strategy on Tunisia, getting a players up top here in barrels. You can get a snipe across the A bomb site. Maybe you can find a player.
S-Thug tucked away in the low ground. Rabalo not going to be able to connect through the wall right there. Solo's just looking for info through that wall bang. Nobody spotted out for either team so far, and it's really on to Sane to find the opening angle right here. Not trying to overcommit. One player moved toward top winery, but he continues to spray through that wall. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure they patched it. I don't think you can shoot through that wall anymore. I've been trying to do it all day in ranked, and it's not working. Ooh. He's going to be able to make it happen with the PKM on the low ground anyway. Picks up another one, and he is absolutely beaming right there. Bomb's going to drop. And now Jez, an easy angle on anybody. Wants to chow, but Tapion makes him pay. Trades there for that Sug.
Alrighty, Tapion makes the round relatively interesting. Bright now has to find a way to make it more so. 1 versus 4 situation. Some would say unwinnable, and you'd be right. Bright, no chance there in the 1v4. All of the different angles being watched, and just so stoic on the site are Rejects. Again, much the same situation. Not so much as aggressive as the last round, but certainly just getting themselves in the position where they're able to draw Sane out and win control of the bomb site. So now 2-1 up our Rejects hit. Sane on the offense once again, and they are changing tact entirely. Look at this aggression straight towards B. They're going to run right head first into S-Thug, who's had a hell of a search and destroy thus far.
And he's going to be there to find the opening, plays his life. Not going to be able to get away, though. Envy able to take down one. He's forced back. Smoke's going to make things difficult. They're going to look to push right here and take him down, and just like that, solid control over toward this bomb site, but do they know that Rabalo has wrapped in toward that tight corner? Down to 2 players to try to clutch right here, and Jez holding the opposite angle. All about information. We'll see if they can sniff out these 2 Rejects players. One right around the corner. Don's able to shut him down. Now it's going to be a 1v2 for Rabalo.
You know where one player went. He doesn't know where the second is. Does he get some good timing, though? That's the question for me. He's just found it, and he knows where the second player is. He knows that wasn't Don, and there's the kill as well. Rabalo with a sick 1 versus 2. That is not a round you want to lose if you're Sane.
Yeah, that was... you can't let it look that easy either. They looked so lost as it was happening, and just nobody with eyes toward low ground made that about as easy as it could possibly be. Now the Rejects extend out the lead right here as, once again, consistency issues for this Sane squad. Full send over toward the B site once again, and not necessarily a bad approach. They had solid control of that site. They just couldn't really capitalize on it. Unfortunately, it gets read by Rejects right here, so 2 players shut down early. Tapion's going to be able to find one onto Envy, but once again, tough to work with no information in any other direction.
Yeah, just not having the numbers really to approach this is the problem for Sane in the situation, and I think there'll be a more immediate problem. Maybe about 20 seconds away, I want to say. It would be the Solo bomb, we'll call it. If Solo does enact a flank that he's clearly looking at, it will be an even bigger problem for Sane. For the moment, though, they just want to try and find a pick somewhere. Rima waiting for somebody on the other side. Will Jez or S-Thug take the bait? There you go, straight for the wall. Rima, who's been the most effective player for Sane thus far, and now will even the odds.
He's going to look to back up, but Rejects very spread out right now. A lot of opportunities for them to catch these Sane players off guard, and they just have no intention of making their way toward the bomb site. Bright finally hops on down, but he's got to deal with Jez. Looks like he has the angle, but Jez shot connects with the Locust in hand, and just like that, down a man is this Sane squad, and not a whole lot of time to work with. 35 seconds solo, perfect flank right there. Jez finds the final kill, and that's 4 in a row for the Rejects.
Yeah, Sane. Once again, you lose a player there on the offense, you kind of find yourself stuck, and that's only compounded as more players do end up falling. 2 versus 3 situation in the end that is not winnable for Sane. 1 round away now from changing sides here. Rejects want to end their defense strong. And it's going to be Solo with that PKM over by the A site. It won't be long before he finds himself right involved in the action. S-Thug also joining. Jez through the middle of the map though, looking for the kill versus Don. Don, does he make the great escape? Yes, he does, but runs right into the deagle of Envy. And now more players down here for Sane.
Jez probably calling for help right now. He's going to be able to cross back, and as he does it, S-Thug and Envy pick up a couple more. Only 2 players remain right here for Sane. And Tapion's been solid for this squad, but a very tall task ahead. He's not going to be able to win that opening gunfight. Now all down to Bright. Would be a 1v4 if he can make it happen right here. Sees the shots across, but not peeking in time to be able to take down Solo from that top side angle. S-Thug raise it, and once again, Rejects extend the lead out even further.
Man, all of these defensive rounds of Rejects have been stellar apart from the one from Sane in which they did win. And now they switch sides towards the offense. We'll see how aggressive they can get. And again, this is something I talked about, right? With a team against maybe a team that they think lesser of, they might start to get hyper-aggressive and get right into the face of Sane. And look, this is exactly what's happening here. 5 players straight towards the B-bomb site. Bright's not really seeing much of the action over by A. Instead, it'll be number 1 and number 5. Tapion and Rima that see a lot of it. Tapion already down. Rima surely just going to have to back away here. And what an execution this has been for Rejects. They have the entire bomb site to themselves for an overnight stay.
And Bright's not going to be able to connect. He does. Jez whiffs on the last 5 shots, and that's a couple players dropping for Rejects right there. Into a 2v3 we go, an opportunity, and with the sniper in hand, Jinkatsu at least has information right there. Not going to be able to hit the flick, though. Could have been a crucial kill. Able to take down Rabalo anyway. Into a 2v2. Definitely a winnable round, but they've got to start moving quickly. Bright's able to take down another, and now it's all down to S-Thug. 100% got seen right there. Jinkatsu should be able to make the read. I don't think they hopped the bomb in time, and not enough to work with is S-Thug. Straight beaming with the Fennec in hand, and Rejects 1 round away from the 2-0 lead.
Look, I'll tell you what, mate, a lot of people, will want to talk about Envy being the player to watch on this roster. S-Thug has been consistent throughout. He is an absolute demon, and he's shown it here in Search and Destroy. Yet another player that's made up countless plays so far in this Search and Destroy. 12 kills for him. Now wants to finish things off at 7-1 for the Rejects. Sane though, getting aggressive in towards A. They've pushed players all the way up here. S-Thug looking to try and bait number 4 out. Bright is going for the chase. Wants to be careful here that he doesn't end up falling to number 3 in the form of Envy. And well, Rabalo is going to take him down. Bright getting over aggressive. He is punished. Don up top as well. They go down. This is not looking good for Sane.
Jez tries to make the read up there. Should have heard Tapion on the low ground, but once again, wins a tough gunfight. Gives his team at the very least some hope, but the bomb does go down here on A. And a tough task ahead. The 2v4 right here. Tapion going to be able to regen. Timing goes his way, but not going to be able to sniff out S-Thug. Solo going to be able to shut down Rima. And now the 1v4. Not meant to be. Solo with that PKM in hand. And Rejects handle business. Things looking a little shaky on round number 1. But it was certainly not the case for pretty much any of the rest of it.
Yeah, as soon as Rejects found their footing in the Search and Destroy, it felt like they were just completely confident. Every single round, be it on their defense or on their offense, they knew exactly what to do. And I think maybe that the problem for Sane, beyond a couple of rounds where maybe we saw clutch situations, I think the 1 versus 2 from S-Thug was probably the most notable one from the Rejects, is the fact that Sane just kind of looked stuck in the Search and Destroy. If they were 1 man down, they didn't really know how to adapt towards the situation. Rejects weren't really giving them any quarter. They're not a team that's going to give anything away for 3 unless you're against a sniper of Rima, who seems to be able to get those ones. But regardless, pretty much the same story every single round past round number 1, where Rejects, they just look so confident in pretty much everything they do. You know, mate, I was talking about it coming into it, talking about whether or not Rejects would have any holes in their gameplay with a new addition of Envy to the roster. it don't look like it.
It really doesn't. Another thing to note, S-Thug traditionally an AR player, but absolutely cooking the map with a Fennec in hand. That could be a switch that could affect this Rejects roster in a number of different ways, and especially with him making that transition so flawlessly. I'm curious to see what he can do as they continue to try to adapt to the existing meta. Once again, Roballo making that switch over to DRH, so maybe an opportunity for them to try some different looks. And once again, the ultimate task is for them to find a way to take down Luminosity. That could potentially be the formula that they need to make it happen.
Yeah, look, that's a really exciting matchup when we get to it, right? Not only because obviously it's top 3, that goes without saying, right? I mean, we always love seeing any of these rosters play off against each other, but because of that Envy storyline, what's Envy going to do when he gets up against his former teammates alongside this new revitalized roster? That's for another time, though. I can't wait to get to it regardless. For now, they've got a Sane to deal with in one more map. It's going to be the Control. Again, you talked about it, right? For a lot of players, Control is maybe not something that they're really experienced with. Rejects definitely are experienced with Control. They're going to be good at it on any map, especially in a situation like this.
Yeah, no question about it. I know Sane have got a certain level of experience that they're working with, but once again, if I had to guess based on the way we saw those first 2 maps go, this is going to be an opportunity for them to look back at the VOD and see what they can capitalize on, what mistakes they can kind of get out of their game, as it looks like Reject's going to lock in right here, and especially trying against the... It looked like Solo was going to run the R9, but it's PKM once again. So another unexpected look out of this squad, but we'll see what they can do with it. And they completely lock down the mid-map off the start right here.
Team shots coming out there from a couple of players on the Rejects. What a great start to this game. Envy going to follow up with yet another one. That's his second in this round. And now starting to get hyper-aggressive through Laundry here. Somebody's forgotten to take the Laundry out, it would seem, on Sane. And getting shut down are this roster. Rejects now feeling confident. And I was talking about this very briefly about Raid earlier on, ironically enough, when we were on the Crossroads. It is very easy to get a fast capture on B just because of how close you are on the offensive spawn, how easy it is to get that first wave of gunfights. And I think Sane at the very least are doing the right thing here. They are not feeding too many kills off the back of it for free. They're not giving too much map control for free.
And Roballo has already made his way over to A and locked in a full ticket progression as well. So as they lock in that top Laundry control, all the pressure onto this Sane squad to make sure they can't flood in through Kitchen, but Envy applying pressure right here. He's already got a Pred to work with, maybe a little over-aggressive, didn't wait for the teammates to reinforce, but Solo's going to be able to find 2 more anyway. Rejects can't afford to get careless with these lives because it's tough to get onto that A zone. Right now, a really good job at Sane making sure that there is no easy point of entry into Kitchen.
Yeah, Sane stable at the moment. That life differential is probably the biggest problem for them with 90 seconds plus left on the clock here. It's going to be hard to bring that down. Rejects have a lot of opportunities here. Donlo going to go for the slide channel in the middle of the map. S-Thug going to get, or Solo, excuse me, going to get taken down off the back of that. But Rejects, they don't have to deal with anybody up top in the bedroom window, so they can freely make their move towards the pool. And as Envy finds double here, they're inside Tiki, 16 versus 7 in lives, a wealth of time to work with, and they're on the point.
And they've got smokes to give them a lot of cover right here, so that's going to force a blind entry out of Sane. They don't really have lives to afford to throw away in that manner. Roballo's going to be able to find another one right there, and in a 3v13, make it a 2v13. Just no way for them to win this round, as that's going to be all objectives captured. Rejects take round 1. Solid fight out of Sane once again. It was not a blowout round by any means, but now hopping on over to that offensive side, trying to get any control over toward that A zone is going to be a tough task.
Yeah, fundamentally, Sane didn't make any mistakes in round number 1. Rejects just outplayed them and outgunned them, especially at the beginning of the round. Look at this strategy, though, coming out from Sane. Generally speaking, you see teams go towards a point that is close towards the spawn at the beginning of the round. That is B, of course, but Sane have opted for an A push, and they only use 1 player in it. It's going to be a very fast capture, and Rejects, they've got to completely turn tail here, straight towards the point. Envy with the utilization of the Predator missile. S-Thug with the Hunter-Killer drone as well, and now only 1 player remains on the point in form of Don. They completely sweep the point, and only 1 ticket progression given away. And I think more pertinently here, they do not give away full map control. Number 3, Envy, is still hanging around on B.
I like the approach right there, but when the opposition has a Pred missile to work with, that's just so much information and so much firepower as well. Envy's gonna pop the claw right here, and they're looking to set up a spawn trap if at all possible. Shots across is once again, he is tearing through this lineup. One more player left. He's gonna opt to back up right here. Pre-fire doesn't connect, but knows he's around the corner. Rima there to shut him down, but the streaks have been earned nonetheless. And once again, Rejects in the driver's seat.
Yeah, especially after what was forcing the issue. I mean, look at the players in the spawn at the moment, Bobby. Roballo and Jed are being such a nuisance. I will say, for saying there is a path out of this one, and that's kind of just ignoring them. Make your way just straight towards B here. Don't worry about the players in your spawn, because that's the best thing you can do at this point in the 9 versus 21 with 22 seconds on the clock. It has stopped here for the moment as Rima and Jinkatsu are on the point, but Rima now going to go down thanks to a car bomb explosion, and now it is just the latter of those two players. Jinkatsu cannot do anything on the point, and so the clock will start ticking once again. Sane changing tact here though, going straight towards A.
Yep, not a lot of real estate to work with. If you can get some big progress here on A, maybe a chance to give yourself at least a rotation, but there's so little that you have to work with. You're not going to have any additional utility off of respawns, as those are completely gone. So they're locking in a few ticks of progression, but seeming like only a matter of time. Once again, Jinkatsu going to be able to find a couple right there. Starting to heat up a little bit more, but unfortunately only 2 players remain. That's a Purifier gone to waste, and definitely a mistake for that Sane roster. You don't want to waste that firepower knowing what you're about to be up against. 2v11, probably not the time to call it in, but Jinkatsu on a 4-piece slides the corner. That's an ego shell if I've ever seen one, and he's going to get shut down.
Yeah, not really much choice, I'll say that much in this situation. And yeah, the Rejects again, it's that kind of veteran play that we'd expect to see out of the Rejects, right? They make the right decisions there in the round. They don't full commit towards A in the defense. They keep a couple of players over in the middle of the map and towards B, and off the back of that, are able to kind of real force the issue with great operator utilization. Now 2-0 up in this one, just one control round away from supplying us with our second 3-0 of the day. Can they get it done? And it's the same old story for Rejects here. It is a barrel towards B and through the middle of the map, but Sane have got hyper aggressive on towards B, and it has totally worked.
Well, that's 4 players down already for Rejects. Surprisingly strong start right here as they're looking to set up a spawn trap of their own. Don's going to be able to push through, but the explosion off the nade from Roballo is able to shut him down, and that's Rejects making their way onto that A zone. Pred missile is going to give them all the information they could need. Rima drops right there, but Don's there once again, and a phenomenal defensive job out of this Sane squad as Jinkatsu's able to shut down another Roballo. Not going to be able to find him through that doorway either. Finally shuts him down, but a lot of utility used. Insane. Still looking strong off the start of this one, but somebody's got to take Roballo off this A zone. You cannot afford to give that up so freely.
Yeah, I like the split push coming out of the Rejects here. 2 players on A, 2 players on B, and progression happening simultaneously across the board here. S-Thug now with the Annihilator. Let's see what he can do. Jez also providing some kills here. S-Thug looking pretty good, saying what you saying to the opposition here. Sane not in the best position. Envy finds the double, and now just A left to capture. The Rejects get it done with double players on double points. A 3-0 here in the control, a 3-0 here in the series, Bobby. Rejects showing who's boss.
That was a phenomenal start to the last round, a horrific finish that just cannot happen. So many opportunities for them to capitalize, and they let Roballo sit in the A zone basically rent-free for as long as he wants to. They wait for the reinforcements to happen, and they just scrambled to try to find the map control, and it wasn't there. Definitely shines of greatness for that Sane squad, but definitely a need to look back at the VOD and see what you can capitalize on. And as expected, Rejects, even when they don't come out strong, find a way to bounce back in that last round, and they take the 3-0.
Yeah, I will say again, you know, this has been the same story, I think, all series long. I do really like what we saw from Sane in that control at the very least. The right ideas, I think, were there. It's just sometimes the execution. I think in round number 2 is kind of an unfortunate moment at the very start of the round where Sane, they managed to try and make their way over towards A, and it didn't exactly go the way that they would have wanted because of the fact that there were streaks, there was utility on side for Rejects. They used it to clear the point, and that's just kind of a prime position of Rejects because of how dominant they were in round number 1. Round number 2, they're able to kind of work off the back of that.
No question about it. It was pretty much a clinic from Rejects to start to finish. Sane, I think once again, this is a squad that has potential to be top 4, top 5, maybe make playoffs if they make some changes. A lot of it's going to depend on how strong that Truly squad are looking, but as expected, Rejects handle business.
I mean, we knew that Rejects was going to be a really tough matchup for literally any of the teams that go up against them. It's not going to be easy. They're one of our expected top squads, so what we wanted out of Rejects, and an opportunity there for Sane to kind of face off against one of the hardest teams they're going to have to see this entire season anyways. Got it out of the way, hopefully learn something along the way, maybe can apply that to one of the next teams that they go up against. But now with 2 matches down, that means we're already halfway through the day. We only have 4 matches here on the stream. 2 of them are now completed, both in 3-0 fashion. So it's been really, really fast so far, but things are possibly going to slow down a little bit with the next matches that we have coming up around the corner. You know, maybe, Bobby, maybe
the last match?
Yeah, at least the last match, bare minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the next matchup is definitely going to be interesting because, once again, there's question marks against Truly, but just in regards to overall experience, talent level, there's no question they're the team that most people are expecting to lock in that 4th spot and have a chance at the playoffs. I mean, you think back even to last challenge season in EU, Exclusive was a team that I think people looked at similarly, like they're a solid team. I don't think they're realistically going to make stage 5, and then bada bing, bada boom, they have a couple of upsets and they're making stage 5. So there's an opportunity where Truly can make some noise right here, and I'm excited to see what they're bringing to the table.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a quick day so far. Obviously, if you've missed anything, you can go back and check the VOD. You can make sure you're following us on social media so you know how these matches are turning out results-wise. If there's any teams that you guys are wanting to follow closely along X, Insta, and Facebook. And joining our Discord is another easy way to do that at discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series, where you can join the community. Then you can also talk about some of your favorite teams, talk about all things Call of Duty Mobile anytime patches come up and you guys want to chat about it or play some games together, and also get all of those updates. It's been really, really strong performances here so far from our teams that have come out on top. Now we've got another match, this time between Truly and Goofy Goovers. Before I send it to break here, Brody, quick initial thoughts? What do you...
Look, this Truly roster, it is promising for sure. I think it's going to be a tough one for Goofy Goobers. Again, this is another roster where I think we're kind of looking to learn a little bit more about this team to see what they're capable of. But this Truly roster, they look really good. They've got space on the side now. I'm really excited to see what they bring to the table.
All right, well, we've got a few more minutes before we do that. Like I said, a short break before match number 3 on the day between Truly and Goofy Goovers. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Snapdragon Pro Series.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true. Where everything you want can be yours. If and only if you're willing to work for them. You're willing to hurt for them. But most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how it would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where we are halfway through the first day of Season 4 of the Challenge here for NA and Call of Duty Mobile. It's been a quick day so far. We've got another match coming up right around the corner from one of the teams that we talked about at the top of the show and that we got to talk to at the top of the show. We had mentioned Truly. They're going to be facing off against Goofy Goovers in this next match. Let's talk about the matchup a little bit here, Bobby.
I mean, I think most eyes probably on Truly heading into this one, at least as far as expectations go. Goofy Goobers, another one of those rosters with a lot of question marks as compared to Truly, who I would say, with the exception of Bomar, are pretty well known. There's players across this roster that have competed in Stage 4s, Stage 5s, Space, Forsaken, Codeine, Yawn, Hex, all super solid players. I'm curious to see how they're going to gel together, because that's obviously a big determining factor in what type of success these guys can find, but no question the talent's there.
Well, we did get an update on the break, too, for some of our off-stream matches. LG and Truly did face off, and it was 3-0 in favor of LG. Do you think that'll play into this next match for them at all here, Brody?
Honestly, I think a really important thing to have if you're a team here in any pro league is the ability to just kind of mentally reset yourself, right? I feel like they should be able to do that here, especially considering their opponent is going to be very different. You just went from being 3-0 by LG to now a chance to breathe, take a minute to relax here. You're going up against a slightly less resonated squad, we'll say, in Goofy Goovers. We'll see whether or not they can come out on top, though. Maybe it will affect their metal game.
Well, we'll take a look at Goofy Goovers' roster as well, see if there's any names here that jump out at you guys. Obviously, haven't gotten a chance to see them as much as the rest of the squads. But, Bobby, anybody?
Excellence, another player from that former SXC roster. Outside of that, not anybody that really sticks out to me. Potentially Doza, that name sounds familiar, but overall, once again, a lot of players looking to make a name for themselves and a big opportunity against a strong opponent like Truly.
Well, we'll have to see if Goofy Goovers can maybe do something here that'll work in their favor when it comes down to the veto process, because we have those picks and bans coming through in just a short moment here, and then we'll have to see if people have started to nail that down, if they were able to kind of go back and learn anything from previous seasons as the hardpoint picks come through here. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, this is not really much of a surprise, to be honest. Again, Takeoff is a favorite of these teams. It plays really well. I think at this point in the competition, everybody knows kind of where the money rotations lie. They know where to rotate for, what heals to make sure they're getting control of. So it's not really a surprise to see Takeoff in the rotation, and the same could be said for Arsenal. I mean, there's a reason that we just saw it in the play. These are kind of favorites for everybody, and it should be a comfortable place, I think, for both of these teams to be on.
Yeah, I'm curious what the S&D is going to look like. I think Slum's solid spot. I think especially picking up Space, phenomenal sniper, and a lot of crazy wallbang angles that exist on Slums. He's one of those guys that just knows every single spot to check. So I think his addition to this roster is one that's going to be really strong for Truly and S&D, and one that could potentially be a stumbling point for that Rejects roster. Is not really one dedicated sniper to fill his spot. Curious to see what that's going to look like. The Express, if by some miracle we get to it, I think I would have to lean in the direction of Truly as well.
Alrighty, and then I guess for the control, I mean, this is again a favorite. We just saw it on Raid. This is one of those offensively sided controls that you like to see. And I think, you know, just like you talked about with the Express, I think we should be seeing this favoring the Truly roster, just the aggression that they've got on side, the players that they've got. Again, bringing Space on the lineup. That is a real player that can play super aggressive on a map like Raid. If you get him in a spawn trap situation, ooh, Goofy Goobers might be in trouble.
All right, well, everybody at home, we want to hear from you as well. Let us know who you think is going to be taking home match number 3. I haven't even asked you yet today, all right? Give us a little bit of your predictions in chat. Are you in favor of Truly, or do you think Goofy Goobers will start off the season with what would be a little bit of an upset here? Want to hear your thoughts as well. And while they're telling us what they think, I will send you two to the other half of the studio to get into match number 3.
All right. I've got a feeling that my battery pack is hanging.
It happens to the best of us, Bobby. It's never happened to me before.
I definitely did not see you try to fix that 15 seconds ago.
Sorry, mate. It happens to the best of us.
All right.
Look, Truly, we expect them to be favorites coming into this matchup. Do we expect anything out of Goofy Goobers? That's the question, really, right?
I don't expect a ton.
Positivity, Bobby. We need some positivity here.
you know, VOD review opportunity. That feels like the one talking point that we've had for the majority of these teams that have come into this being relative unknowns. And once again, there's some level of experience there for these guys. You know, they've got a logo in their backgrounds for the Goofy Goovers, so you can see commitment to the brand right there, what you love to see. Lethal's going to get aggressive right there, and he ends up paying for it as he gets shut down, but none of the rest of his teammates do. It's all yellow in the feed right here. As the map control solid for Truly, nobody wants to hop on the objective yet, but they finally make their way on. Nas going to be able to shut down one right there. And Truly not able to find a whole lot of real estate on that objective as Excellence picks up one on the backside as well. This is actually a pretty solid start for the Goofy Goovers.
Yeah, I kind of like the early push here for Goofy Goovers, not just in towards P1 to get some of that control, but also up towards P2 already. Unfortunately, Naz and Venti, who were there, do get shut down by Space and Lethal. So Truly here looking pretty good now, not just to get the scrap time. It is a big 20 seconds to get early on in this game, but also to get some of the rotation. Lethal trying to zone players off towards the backside of this hard point. It is going to be number 2. Hax, I think, will be the closest player to do anything about this if you are Truly. The down low. Let's see what Naz can produce here for Goofy Goobers. The rest of the squad now inside this hard point. Venti on the other side. As he goes down now, Truly going to start to make their way through.
Spawn on the backside. Naz going to be able to shut down one, though. Solid trades there for Goofy Goobers. They get players on the top side, but Hax is there to shut down one, make it 2. Streaks have been earned. And players on rotation right here is Yawn looking to cut off any of those players spawning in the backside. Fred Missile going to give him some information as well. And right now, that is all yellow on the hard point and nobody in challenging distance right here for Goofy Goovers. Strong start on P1, but have yet to bounce back here on P2.
Yeah, one player just trying to climb their way up towards construction. That's an unconventional way in towards the hill. Nice. Cool there from Hax that somebody, hey, is going to come up that lane once again. Somebody else is trying it now, and it's going to be Naz to find the first kill versus Lethal. Haxis doesn't quite expect it. I don't know if that's kind of a miscall there, miscommunication, that, hey, somebody's managed to fight their way in towards the hill, but it's okay, because Space and Forsaken will combine for 3 as we hit the last 15 seconds of the hard point, though. Goofy Goobers think, yep, it's time to just kind of scarper towards the next point. Yawn starting to put together something here over by P4, but he will inevitably get shut down. And now, already 60 points down or so in this game. Goofy Goobers, they want to have a good hold here. They cannot afford to get broken straight away.
That's a solid rotation right here and solid setup on the outskirts, but Space can be able to shut down one. That's a Pred Missile earned for him, and that should give all the information they could need. Excellence gets shut down on the outside of the hard point, and all of a sudden, Truly look to collapse right here. Operators get invested for both sides. Space not able to spot out anybody with the Annihilator yet. And we got a spare on the inside of the hard point, but that gets shut down. Space not finding a whole lot of value out of the Annihilator, but finally able to spot out one. Don't know that he'll be able to find any more beyond that, as you, once again, would like to find more value out of that, but you break the hard point at the end of the day. That's what the objective is. So Forsaken continues to roam right here, absolutely slaying one off a Pred Missile right now, and Truly definitely in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, I love watching Forsaken play sometimes, man. Just the things that he will do, how aggressive he can get. Just being such a nuisance for Goofy Goobers. And I talked about it, right? Goofy Goobers couldn't really afford to lose that rotation. That is exactly what happens. They lose the vast majority of time of it away to Truly. But they do not have control of the rotation towards Nu just yet. That is something that we should note. Yawn going to open things up here with the first blood. Excellent. Now what's going to be the cross? That's going to be Lethal being taken down. Trade looking pretty good though for Yawn. And on the other side of the hill, we have to be careful because there's a pitch play being put in effect. Hax is going to be taken down. And as is Yawn from the front, Forsaken, though, I believe, has found himself yet another kill here. Has the Purifier in the back pocket. Truly have punctured the hard point within 20 seconds, and now he's going to use it.
Operators invested. Forsaken gets pushed up toward that front side. Nas gonna try to slide through, not meant to be. Excellence trying to find an avenue, but he's not even gonna be able to get to within reach of the Purifier as he's shut down as well. And now they look to hit the wrap toward the backside of this entrance, but just no real estate as they're shut down time and time again. Lethal's gonna earn a pred and call it in right there. Yawn picks up a 2-piece, and all the operators finding full force here on the front side of the hard point as Hex able to push out any type of contest on this one.
Yeah, 5 seconds left. I mean, is there really any point at this point? You'd be running straight into the equalizers of Haxes, who, well, does eventually go down, but damage is done at this point as we get into the second set. Truly have a 100-point advantage over Goofy Goobers. They need to start finding something really right about now. And so far in this hard point, there's just been a couple of crucial moments where Truly are able to break, where really they arguably shouldn't have done. And that P4 is a prime example of that. But we are now in towards the second set. A little bit of utility on side now. If you're Goofy Goobers, you've got to think about Venti, maybe perhaps having that Predator missile on side, a couple of operators in the hands of Dazita and Excellence, the former of which is actually bringing out Kiers, and the Predator missile coming down from Venti as well. This is a big investment for Goofy Goobers. They realize that they are in deep, deep doo-doo.
And I don't think there were any kills off of that Pred, which is surprising given how many Truly players were alive at the time that it was called in. Venti sniffed out. Space going to be able to shut him down right there. Wraps back, and I'm not sure what was happening right there for Brainy, but hasn't had himself the best map. Only 4 kills on the board. Obviously, the Goofy Goovers would love to see him get going, but right now it looks like Truly have got things locked down, and with Yawn winning that opening gunfight, should be able to make his way up toward top of P2 right here. Only Brainy to deal with, and it looks like they're going to be able to get the shutdown on the low ground, but reinforcements are there, and Lethal wrapping all the way through the bottom side, there to cut off those spawning in players, and just like, okay, somebody finds a kill. It's not going to be him, but you know what? As long as you get the hard point locked down, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it feels like we are definitely reaching an inflection point here in the game, right? Where Truly, I mean, they've got, again, the 100-point lead, and that just continues to grow. Look at the control here for Truly as well. Players watching both sides. They're not giving Goofy Goobers even a look. Going to be jump up from Venti to try and take an unconventional kill versus Yawn. That doesn't happen. Coverage in the middle of the map as well being provided by Truly. Yawn going to finally go down, though. Excellent. Able to find his way through, and now comes out the claw. This thing bounces off the walls. Lethal making the best usage out of it possible. There's 15 seconds left. Why not just grab that time if you can? Truly continuing to bring the pain to Goofy Goobers here.
They will eclipse that 200-point mark. Somehow Lethal still finds the kill with the turn. Hunter Killer not going to be able to connect, but not a whole lot to worry about. They hit the rotation right here, and they are in prime position to go ahead and win this one on P3. One Sparrow to be dealt with, and it looks like they are going to do exactly that. Forsaken, Purifier in hand, 1 HP, somehow stays alive. And in that position, there's not really any way to deal with him. The War Machine's going to cut off the front side. Players spawning in the backside are going to be greeted quickly by the War Machine in the hands of Yawn. And right now, Truly doing everything that they need to go ahead and win this one on this hard point. Hex going to get the information, wraps back toward the bottom side, and should be able to tear through the rest of this Goofy Goobers roster. And he actually opts to hop back toward the top side. Fortunately for him, teammate's going to be there to do the work anyway.
Yeah, look at this trust in the team at the moment. Brothers, family. Word to Vin Diesel as Truly comes out with a 250-57 victory over Goofy Goobers. They look pretty good, and that, again, is not surprising. We went in with high expectations of Truly, and we got exactly that. They were delivered on as Truly comes out and play their hearts out, right? I mean, just continual rotation control from them. It's the usual suspects, as it were. They got control of all the key rotations. They were making sure they were using their operators correctly, and they won pretty much every single key gunfight that you could ask for. Masterclass of Takeoff Hardpoint.
The 100-point club is not looking like a terribly exclusive one, as we are 3 for 3 so far today. As expected, Truly handled business right there. Probably, once again, a pretty good taste of what we can expect heading into that search and destroy. It is typically the mode that, you know, you give at least the biggest chance to the underdog, and you got some experienced players, you got some talented players on this Goofy Goobers roster that can give them a run for their money, and I think especially with how recently this Truly roster was formed, could be able to catch him off guard, but once again, looking back at the highlights, and naturally, it's pretty much all Truly, like you said, Forsaken, just so difficult to deal with. He's so slippery. Doesn't matter what weapon he's using, and they did not have a response for him. Across the board, Goofy Goovers get heavily outslayed, and some solid rotations, some solid points at which it looked like they had an opportunity to maybe capitalize, but the gun skill difference was glaringly obvious in this one.
Yeah, you can just see the team play. And again, this is something we discussed, right? Post-roster mania, what does the team play look like for a number of these rosters that have added players to the lineups or got rid of players? And for Truly, it looks like they haven't even really missed a beat, right? I mean, you know, adding the likes of Space to the lineup, they look like he's been there forever. Just the way that they play, the trust in one another to watch each other's backs is shown off there in the hard point on takeoff, in which they're able to win 250 to 57. Here's a look at the stats at the end of the game. Every single player, 23 kills or above. And, well, that low of 23 is a player that has almost 2 minutes inside the hardpoint and actually has the highest impact of the game. Truly a team effort, I think it's fair to say, from Truly.
Yep, no question about it. And once again, an opportunity for Goofy Goovers to look back, do some VOD review, see what points you can improve on, but to a degree, there's only so much you can do when the gun skill difference is as big as it is. And I think especially when you look at the way that Forsaken was just running around the map wherever he wanted to and gunning pretty much every player in sight, goes triple positive right there. And once again, that's the reason that this Truly roster is outside of our top three, the most feared in the North American region, and why a lot of people have their eyes on them for potentially some upsets later in the season.
Yeah, look, mate, this is still exciting, right? We're getting a look at this Truly roster. We're getting to see what they're capable of. We certainly did see it there in the hard point on takeoff. Now the question is, what does their search and destroy look like, right? I mean, how does that look? Because I think that's going to be a really key component when it comes down to playing some of these top teams, because search and destroy can make or break teams. We'll see whether or not that will be good versus those top teams. For now, though, they've got the roster in front of them. That's going to be Goofy Goovers. And I would honestly like to see maybe Goofy Goovers just try and wait to see what the strategy looks like for the first couple of rounds, right? Trying to analyze, right, what are we going to expect from the Truly roster in front of us? What kind of, you know, pushes are we going to see? And then try and adapt to it from there on out. I don't want to see a situation where Truly like, right, we can just run at them and Goofy Goovers let it happen. I don't want to see that. I've seen that too much in COD Mobile, folks. We need to do better.
Yeah, no question about it. And that's the nice thing about the way this Truly roster is built. They can play different play styles as well, because you have those passive players like Space who just want to sit back, snipe, control the map. But you also have players like Forsaken who can get aggressive. You got Hacks who's just going to absolutely run at you whatever direction that he can. And I think the big task heading into the Slums S&D for this Goofy Goover squad is trying to control the mid-map and not overextending like we saw a lot in the first time around watching this map today.
Oh boy, I just want to see improvements, right? I just want to see something from these teams. I want to see some life from Goofy Goovers, to be honest. I want to see some competitiveness, folks. We've had 2 3-0s today, for goodness sake. Give me some kind of resistance from the opposition. Will we get it in Search and Destroy? I don't know. I really hope so, for my own mentality. Regardless, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of this Search and Destroy. We're about to get into it, of course, a Slum Search and Destroy. We already talked about it. The aggression for the middle of the map has been real key success for a number of rosters on Slum Search and Destroy, historically speaking, for the defensive side. We'll see whether or not that comes out from Goofy Goovers right off the rip here. It's Truly start things off on the offense, and they look to initially be favoring a B, but it seems like a spread across here for the middle of the map, just to kind of see what they can get right at the start.
And Yon gonna get punished early on right there as he's shut down, and that's gonna kind of stall the push of Truly right here. Players forced back behind the B zone, and one player gonna get spotted over top of that bomb heady, but Hack's not really in a position. And interesting that they're sending the SMG to chow that angle, because realistically, if you're going up against any weapon that's not an SMG, you're probably going to get gun. Looking for some information over toward the A side of things, and that's just not a gun you want to try to wallbang with. Probably hitting for 2s and 3s right there, but the bare minimum gets the information. He's going to look to push anyway. Does Brainy have headphones? He does, but unfortunately not going to be able to win the gunfight. Space makes the read right there, able to shut down Excellence, and now a 2v3. He and Lethal try to clutch up right here, but Lethal gets picked, and just like that, it's a 1v3.
Yeah, Space in a really difficult spot now, but this would be sensational if he could pull it off. First snipe is good. Does he know the second player? Oh, right in front of him, the quickscope's going to miss, and Naz gets the better of him in this situation. If Space had just a little bit more patience there in the play, maybe he could make that happen. Would have been a real nice quickscope, to be fair. We would have sent that one to phase 5, but not to be. Goofy Goovers off the start of the round, they get that first pick and truly do look stuck in the mud from there on out. Good start for Goofy Goovers. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, and they stay at home. They don't overextend right there. They let the First Bloods do the work, and Nas has been tough for them to deal with so far. Yawn's now going to get pushed up, even on the offensive side through mid-map, and they've got things completely locked down through Statue. Lethal wrapping around to find anybody that he can, and this time Goofy Goovers heavily on their heels. They're forced back, and Nas not going to be able to win that one either, all on to Excellence. And with the bomb down, not a whole lot that he can hope to do here.
Yeah, he's just revealed his position as well. That's not great, to be honest. Yawn going to take him down. And a bit of a different look there already from both sides there. Goofy Goovers playing that one somewhat more passively than what we saw in the last round, and truly quite the opposite, right? Aggressive, straight through blue, straight through the middle of the map there to garner early map control. Great adaptations from Truly. That's what you want to see out of this roster if they have any hope of taking down some of the Titanic teams we have here in North America. For now, though, change of strat for Truly all the way through blue. Looks like they want to get straight towards the site. Player sat in the corner is going to be Venti. Is he able to line in to be up? Nope. Gets taken down, overwhelmed on site, and the numbers coming out in favor of Truly.
Well, you got the R9 in hand. Like, you can potentially take down 3 players right there. Doesn't find one. Maybe if he hits a shot, that's a completely different story. But once you give that site up, Truly are not giving anything back. That's back-to-back rounds off the start of this one, as they do bounce back right there. And Venti, Brainy, still looking to get going, sitting on a couple of goose eggs. They've definitely got to step up right here. Is that it hasn't been a complete blowout in all of these rounds, but you can't allow Truly to dictate the pace of the game the way that they are right now.
And this is exactly what's happened again. I don't understand what this change of tact is from Goofy Goovers, right? I don't understand why they're letting Truly come to them in this situation, because Truly have the better of the situation. I will say, nice nade coming out from Goofy Goovers to stop the bomb part from going down. The reaction from Truly is to push all the way up towards Dunsters here. You're looking for the double, and Azita will deny. And all of this results now in a 1 versus 2 here for Space, as the numbers boil down to just one Truly player left on the map.
In that time, absolutely an overextension, as there was no need to push all the way past the bomb site, but fortunately Space staying alive, trying to clutch up. He definitely saw Dozita right there. Space, hello?
Why? Why?
I don't know.
Okay. There's a lot to deconstruct there in that final 2 versus 1. First of all, Goofy Goovers are very lucky because they gave up everything for no real reason at all. They weren't even gambling on a push towards A. They were just like, we're just going to sit around back P2 and hope for the best. I don't understand. And secondly, I don't know why Space is getting so aggressive. Regardless, Goofy Goovers, they get the round. They'll be smiling at the end of round number 4. All even Stevens as we get into round number 5. This gunfight is something we've seen previously, Nas versus Space, and Space doesn't even get the chance to zoom in to his scope thanks to a stun thrown his way. Trade out from Yorno, now a 4 versus 4. Hack's getting aggressive here as well. Now numbers back in favor of Truly.
And Nas has done a phenomenal job of finding those first bloods. That's 100% a reason they've been able to find a couple of these rounds. Is off the work that he's done so far. They're going to be able to get the plant on B once again. 2v3 is it's Nas sitting back. Venti, he's right next to them, but they've got to deal with Yawn tucked away in this corner, and they don't really seem to want to advance at all. Hoping for Nas to find an opener, and he does exactly that, but it's going to be Yawn tucked away in this corner, and once again, no opportunity for them to flood through that broken wall. Nas going to get spotted over top. No information gained off of Venti right here, but with how little time there is remaining, not going to be easy, but absolute beams onto Yawn. Unfortunately, he's going to have to find this kill instantly, and I don't think he's moved quickly enough. Forsaken is going to get the information right there, but no time to work with anyway. Forsaken reads it perfectly, and just like that, Truly retake the lead.
Yeah, good reads coming out in the 2 versus 2. You knew, as soon as you got Naz in that situation, you knew where the last remaining player would be, but he beams and makes it the 1 versus 1. But ultimately, a good play coming out for Forsaken, just playing Ring Around the Rosie around the site, knows that all he needs to do in that situation with what, like, I think it was like 10 seconds left. He had the last remaining player to get towards the site, just play Ring Around the Rosie, just try and evade, and that's exactly what happens. Truly coming out strong. Great start coming out. Nice set nade from Haxis and a follow-up with the snipe from space. Goodness gracious, this is aggressive. Truly coming out strong from the start of this offensive effort, and Excellence and Venti, I mean, they've got no map control whatsoever.
And this is where the utility battle really shows itself, as Forsaken shuts down the last player on that one. Flipping over to the defensive side, Truly have looked somewhat dominant, but still a lot of holes in a lot of the approaches that we've seen out of these guys so far. I've got a feeling the defense is going to be a little bit more locked down, and we'll see what type of pressure they apply mid-map right here. Nobody going to be able to get pushed up initially, as Nas, once again, first blood, takes down Lethal, and that gives the advantage to this Goofy Goober squad. Hack's able to take down Nas, and that's a crucial kill. As they sit back, they wait toward Broken Wall. And that's going to be Dozita sniffing out space right there. That should be a wide open A site.
Is this going to draw the players across towards A? I think it will. Yeah, look at number 2 and number 4. Haxis and Yawn here going straight over towards A. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't work out with Haxis. He's not playing COD here. He's playing boxing, looking for a couple of kills. He finds them, completely clears A in the weirdest way possible, and flips the round on its head. Goofy Goobers went from one of the best positions, the most high IQ players I've seen in COD Mobile in the last 3 hours, to this. Goofy Goobers now have no map control whatsoever. They do have maybe a path through towards blue, but this is a big 1v1. Yawn takes the shots and now at the very least gets away with information.
50 seconds to work with right here. Excellence has the bomb in hand. Has not made that wrap fully toward the A site quite yet. And Yawn's going to be able to get to the backside. If he can get up close, should be able to hear the audio cue off the plant as well. Hax content to stay home and guard this B, but I don't think he's going to make the read on the flank. He does anyway. Brainy not able to find the kill right there, and a huge missed opportunity for the Goofy Goovers.
Again, so many of them in this round. This is a round they definitely should win. So Excellence, I think there's extra weight on making sure you pull off this 1v2, but Haxis and Yawn fundamentally are playing this correctly at the very least, but it's whether or not they get some bad timing. That's the thing, because Excellence could come right behind them and catch both of the players off guard. Has just seen Haxis, but where is the trigger discipline in this situation? Please, Excellence. And now he's taken the shots. Those arrows are going to fly straight towards A. What does the exit from the site look like? Well, straight into a hail of gunfire. John Marston, eat your heart out. Bobby, analysis, please. I don't.
Don't shoot! Why are you shooting? Oh, brother, that was... Like, he was already... There was maybe a pixel of him available that he could shoot at. A 0% chance he's getting that kill. Oh, a lot of mistakes right there for Goofy Goobers. A lot of good openings. And I think they owe a lot of apologies to Nas, because he's been a first blood machine, and they have not capitalized on it much, if at all.
Yeah, Nas for MVP. Don't even care if Trudy win this series, for sure. He's done a lot of work for the squad. Off the start of this round, trade's already going down. Trudy coming off a little bit better for it, you have to say, especially because there's a smoking graveyard. I think Forsaken wants to take advantage of the situation. They've already got one player through behind enemy lines. That's going to be Haxis, who I think is going to try and clear out Garage, and that'll be Nas down for the count. And Haxis, little tap on the shoulder. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Not to Nas, anybody but Nas. He didn't deserve that, man.
He did. He sat there.
Well, but in the grand scheme of the game, he didn't deserve it.
He didn't. Poor guy. Nas has been through it in this slums. Mate, truly, just excellent plays at the moment. Just playing aggression since we've switched sides. The last couple have been absolutely theirs. And now, Goofy Goobers, I like this play coming out from the start. It seems like a convincing hit over towards A, but they've given up so much map control over by Garage side that Truly now have full control over the middle of the map.
Yeah, they're forced back into a corner right now. Hax looking for any information he can find through the wall right there. And it looks like just full-on panic mode for Goofy Goobers. Everybody's either prone or sitting in a corner somewhere, and any side of aggression has completely gone. I don't think timing's going to go the way of Venti. Space able to find one right there, looking to make it 2 as Yawn shuts down Brainy, and all down to the 2 remaining players for the Goofy Goobers.
And this is what you can't let happen. You cannot go into panic mode. As soon as players start getting up in your face, as soon as players start to feel themselves, as Truly, by the way, have just won that search and destroy, you cannot just run around and like that. It doesn't make sense to me. And again, just for example, that final round, right? You know that Truly are going to run at you. They've been doing it the last 3 rounds in a row. and your reaction is to give up full map control, everything besides blue, and you don't even get in blue, by the way. You have no control over blue, so you can't even cross towards the A-bomb site. It feels like stuff like that, I think, has just been happening so often against the top teams, and it really is what divides the best from the rest in North American COD Mobile. That it's those kind of things that when these guys go back and when they watch the VOD, they'll be like, ah, like a little eureka moment, but a little bit more depressing because they shouldn't have let that happen.
Yeah, it's and that's what people have to realize. Like the difference in gun skill between two teams like Goofy Goobers is one thing when you're looking at what your team NBAs who are just making their entrance. But when you have guys like Goofy Goobers, the gun skill's there. It's just, especially I think the lack of confidence in the back half of those rounds where they didn't assert themselves. And once again, they allow Truly to play the gameplay that the game plan that they wanted to. When you allow a team like that to dictate the pace of the game, take the spots that they want, yet there's just no avenue that you give yourself to be able to win those rounds. So once again, maybe an opportunity for a substitution for Brainy on this Goofy Goober squad. A little bit of goose egg right there. Had a rough map number 1 as well, or maybe we just need to spend a little more time in the firing range.
Ah, jeez. I'll tell you one thing from those stats. Justice for Naz. That's what we want. Get the hashtag going, folks. Tweet us, whatever socials you want to do. I'm sure Lauren will tell you in a minute what socials. Tweet us, Justice for Naz, because that's what we
call it tweeting, or do we?
Oh, no.
Do we X us?
No, I'm not having this. Okay?
What do we?
It's Twitter. It will always be. I'm 24.
I agree. I'm just curious, like, what's the verb that we're supposed to use?
It's Twittering.
Okay. All right.
Talking nonsense.
I agree.
Regardless, we're Twittering, tweet us, Justice for Naz. That's what we're doing here. Regardless, he's going to need a lot more than justice coming in towards this control. The way that Truly have been playing this series thus far, we need a full flip of the momentum. It has to start here. Could it be the start of the reverse sweep in this game number 3? It's raid control. A good start, good plays calls coming out from Goofy Goobers as they get full control over A.
See the GKS coming out for Lethal. You know, I'm personally a huge fan of the GKS. I'm not sure if this is the spot for it. And unfortunately for Truly, it's going to give up full control over toward that A zone. Brainy's going to lock down topside towards Sniper's Nest. And pretty solid map control right here as Venti's going to be able to find another. So a solid start here. But that's going to be Hax finding one. No angles to take down Nas right there, but Hax just going to commit to the play. He's able to take down 2, and just like that, A's cleared. There's Goofy Goovers making their way onto B.
Yeah, and this is the one advantage, I think, at the start of the raid control on the offensive of pushing A right off the rip, right? Because Truly are going to invest all of their defensive efforts into the A point, and you're going to get the close spawns towards B. Unfortunately, the follow-up isn't quite as convincing as I like. Space for the sniper rifle! What is that, Space? That is disgusting. Completely blows the entire play wide open. And Goofy Goobers, I mean, it looked positive for a moment, Bobby. Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, not looking great right here. Elcar comes out, absolutely obliterates Venti there. And Lethal not having a whole lot of success with the GKS in hand as Goofy Goobers. Great start to this one, but once again, it falls apart a little bit as they lose that map control, and you can see where the experience really comes through, but a lot in the feed for Goofy Goobers. If they can deal with Yawn, should be able to make their way onto A. But he plays his life so well. Forsaken gets shut down anyway. Hax tries to get pushed up. He's shut down. And only 2 lives separating these two. But right now, time is of the essence for this Goofy Goober squad.
Yeah, finally, if we're going to get taken down over by B. 100 killer drone in the air, though. How much damage can it do? Absolutely nothing, apparently. Gets shut down before it can do anything else. And Naz actually clearing a little bit of space over by the kitchen side here. It's going to alleviate a bit of pressure. The problem for Goofy Goobers, if there is one, is that Yawn is chilling around inside R, and they need to get rid of him before the rest of the squad can come off the spawn and assist Venti and Brainy Chew on this point. Yawn does go down, and there goes B as well. So extra 60 seconds now, an 8 versus 6 situation in favor of Truly. This is going to be a nail-biter.
Going to be really tough to make your way past Space right here. Hack's not going to be able to lock down the top side. And that's a Pred missile that's earned Forsaken as well. So 1 life advantage right here, but Excellence should have no idea. I'm a little bit surprised that Space didn't go for the execution, if I'm being completely honest. Like, obviously comms are going to be there. I think you could probably pull it off if you tell your teammates, but he makes the right play, and just like that, players force their way through once again. Brainy finds another, and we're in a 4v4. Yawn can't win the gunfight. It's a 3v3. You got Lethal alive, but he's got a GKS and a kill to his name. an opportunity for Goofy Goovers to come through, but only 17 seconds to work with.
Yeah, collection of 1v1s that could go down here. It's going to be player number 5 and player number 2. Haxus and Lethal that's going to double up here. Space is going to get caught out on the flank. They knew he was there. 12 seconds remain. And Brainy2 sitting on the point. They've got to go for the double challenge. They've got to do it right about now. Lethal behind 1. He needs to go fast. He can't afford to just kind of walk towards the point. Haxus is going to go down now, and you've got to stop this one. Lethal for the first. Has just spotted out Brainy2 right in front of him. Brainy has the better of him in the situation, the better heady to work with. And Goofy Goovers start strong here in the control.
Truly trolled that. I'm going to be completely honest. There are so many different points where they could have locked things in, taken it serious, and it was just careless control gameplay. I'm curious if maybe we see Lethal switch weapons. Nope, we're sticking with the GKS. All right, committing to the bit. I respect it. They do get onto the B zone right here, and Lethal's going to be able to shut down 1. So 4 kills to open this up. And pretty solid control toward this top side as Hack's going to be able to push up, equalizer in hand, and that'll be able to force lower spawns right here, as that should be a guaranteed B lock for this Truly squad. We do see the operators coming out as well. And right now, an opportunity for them to force through the mid-map right here. It looks like they're going to be able to do that, and Lethal makes the wrap toward the top side.
Great start for Truly. I mean, not just in terms of getting B right off the rip, but look at the life differential already here in this game. You're going to bring the Predator missile down. They want to go straight towards A here. No holds barred whatsoever. That's the Purify coming out from Forsaken as well. Truly are in a hell of a good spot. Players spawning up basketball, though, because they haven't got anybody there. Players instead inside jungle. Do they predict it is the question? And yeah, big brain time from Yawn as he finds the kills required. This is domination from Truly here in this round. Goofy Goovers have taken 7 lives away. Now they get 8 for Truly, but they're down to their last 3.
Well, that was a perfect multi-directional spawn trap right there for Truly. So they bounce back off of a, once again, completely trolled round, and they do lock things in to tie things up at 1-1. But would love to see them continue to take this seriously and try to end this quickly, because this is not a map that realistically should be close at all. You do look over at the Goofy Goovers. They got 5 operators charged and ready to go. So if they can apply some pressure over here on this B side, might get an early capture and an opportunity for them to take another round.
Oh, look at this aggression coming out from Truly on the defense. They want to put a stop to it, and Lethal's got the claw to make it happen, but can only find 1 kill. That's a huge shutdown to kick off the round from Goofy Goovers. This is still a realistic chance, especially as Brady pulls out the equalizers of them capturing B early, just like what Truly did to them in the prior round, only not with the additional rather large effect of having a massive life disparity. But they do have quite a lot of utility on side, so Brady going to continue to force the issue here with the equalizers. Will find the double kill, and now perhaps creating some space. If you're Truly in this situation, you do not invest anything into B. You solely focus on getting Brainy2 out of jungle.
And he's able to find another, finally shut down by the Hunter Killer, but the damage has been done. They get the full capture over onto B in space. Unfortunately, going to hit marker there. Life advantage, at least for right now, for the Goofy Goovers, and that's going to be Hack shut down too. Saken should have some audio cues, and that should be a free 2-piece, couple of missed shots right there, but able to connect anyway, and just like that, the lives have been equalized. Very tough task of capturing that A zone for Goofy Goovers, and with Truly starting to lock things in right here, it's going to be tough for them to clear out the mid-map, especially with Forsaken gunning like that.
Yeah, this is the difference right now between these two teams, right? On the last round where you saw Truly capture early and then garner a massive life advantage, Goofy Goovers just collapsed at the knees, right? I mean, there just was no real response from them. They gave up control of jungle, they gave up control of kitchen. That hasn't actually happened for Goofy Goovers here in this round where, you know, they haven't managed to garner control of A. Truly have still got most of the map control. They have a couple of players through here. Bedroom control, and that's a power position for Venti, mind you. That's going to be a problem that Truly will have to deal with if they want to push the spawns all the way back towards the back of the garage. But nonetheless, Naz is able to convert for a double here in the middle of the map. Goofy Goovers, they're on their way. Dozita now with the Annihilator has found 1. Hax is going to trade things out though. That's a nice kill. And every single time it looks like there's going to be some magical play with the operators from Goofy Goovers, there's a crazy shutdown coming out from Truly.
Now the question is, 2 operators remaining. Do you want to invest those if you're Goofy Goovers? I think you got the opportunity right here. You got to make the most of it, but players continue to get shut down. Lethal does get traded out right there. Only 2 lives separating the two, but they don't seem to want to invest. right now they've got the opportunity, and if they can get space cleared out right here, an opportunity for them to make their way on, but he's able to shut him down. No more respawns for Dozita. Venti will come back onto the map. But right now, they've got to commit, and they don't want to use those operators. They're going to back off. They allow this Truly squad to get those final kills, and with only one player remaining, just not enough time for a capture as Truly take round 3.
I thought for a second there, mate, the 1v5 might actually happen because it was Naz in the 1v5. So, you know, we got to have justice for Naz, but ultimately, Goofy Goobers not able to get it done. And I will say, you know, the efforts there from Goofy Goobers on the offense have been the exact same kind of situation where we come down to very close lives. The offensive effort for Truly, though, was a very different situation on the last go. They dominated right from the rip, and it feels like the same might happen again here, certainly in terms of the way in which they're playing the map, because Goofy Goobers have not got aggressive whatsoever. They have waited for Truly to make the first move, and that might well cost them, as Hax is now really starting to heat up here. He's pushed the issue all the way up towards that laundry side. Look at the map control and the utilization of these operators from Truly. It is something to behold.
And this is the exact reason I wanted Goofy Goobers to just full commit, use those last 2 operators, try to take the round, because when you let Truly get to that 1 round needed, they're going to go for the throat, and they're absolutely doing that here. Venti pops the Sparrow right here, trying to see what he can do, but we've already seen a big life lead form that's B fully captured, and everybody for Truly have made their way on over to that A zone. Map control has been locked in, and Lethal has an angle onto the inside of Kitchen. Not going to be able to take down Venti, but that's going to be Hax doing the damage. Yawn there to do the rest. Trades are there, but once again, 8 life lead, and space is going to continue to be pesky over toward Cabana.
Alrighty. Truly haven't got anybody to contest with inside bedrooms, so they've got to move forward here. The streak's now coming down from Forsaken. These players just have to run straight towards the gym, and the Predator missile doesn't actually connect there. Naz is able to escape towards the Tiki bar, and now Lethal, he has to be the one to get his hands in the mud, get himself dirty for these kills, and well, excellence with the War Machine will actually shut him down. So give us on the moment here. They are holding strong, but that life disparity, I think, is the biggest problem. Yes, there's still over 80 seconds on the clock, but an 18 versus 12 situation is not something that they're going to be comfortable with.
They're playing this about as well as they possibly can. Hax trying to get some information. Yawn's able to shut down 1. Can't make it 2, though. Trades do go through, but once again, you can't afford to go 1 for 1 if you're Goofy Goobers. You got to find double kills on double kills. 1 operator there for Brainy, but Yawn finds a double kill, and that might be the dagger here. If Space can find 1 more on that top side, it should be enough for them to make their way on. It was still 55 seconds to work with. You're not in any type of a rush. The operator usage has got to be absolutely perfect for Brainy. Unfortunately, he does have that equalizer. I don't know what you're waiting on at this point. It's got, what, 35 seconds of duration. There's no reason not to use it, but the teammates continue to fall right here. 1 by 1, they let it go to waste, and Brainy use the operator! Oh my gosh. I think that's so frustrating.
Yeah, the situation there, I think, for Brainy there in the final moments of that round was just, you know, he wanted to try and sit inside gym, maybe provide some coverage there, try and get the players to push all the way in towards the basketball court. Nonetheless, I think if you've got the operator in this situation, I mean, that's your get out of jail free card, right? I mean, that is your lifeline. To not use it in the situation is a bit of a question mark for me, but nonetheless, I don't think that was necessarily the biggest problem there in that 3-0 in the series, because certainly in that control, just the offensive efforts that we saw from Truly were, again, they were magnificent, right? I mean, we saw, especially that round number 2, the way that they came out, just commanded full control over B and then pushed forward. That is, again, those kind of plays are what separate the best teams from the rest of the teams here in COD Mobile.
I will say that matchup gave me more hope for Goofy Goobers than I initially had, because for them to be able to play, even though they weren't close matchups, for them to not have that big of a gap in the control, for them to have spots where it seemed like maybe it was a winnable search and destroy, was far more than I really expected out of them. So I don't know if maybe it's still a need for some more chemistry to build for this Truly squad as well. They didn't look nearly as strong as I had expected. I understand they're a pickup squad, but they definitely looked like a pickup squad there as well.
Oh, yeah, not too good, I think, from Goofy Goofies in that 3-0. Honestly, I will say it was more competitive in the first 2 games, but just ultimately overwhelmed there in the control. You can see in the final moments of the game just what truly were able to produce. It was that round number 2, I think, was just so damaging, so taxing, but they were at least competitive in the control. So we'll see. We'll see whether or not Goofy Goofies can kind of improve and work off that from the rest of the tournament.
And on the flip side of that, I mean, you kind of pointed it out, Bobby, as well. An opportunity for Truly to walk away, and even though they still get the 3-0 and they clean that up, is this the type of performance that you can bring against a Rejects and walk away with the same scoreline? Maybe not, you know? So an opportunity for both sides of that to win, or to learn from this match as well. But that is now 3 matches on the day in the books, and we are heading towards arguably the one that everyone's kind of been waiting for, because this one should be really spicy. We're closing out the day with Mayhem versus LG, and I just want to like talk to you guys a little bit about that before we go to the break. Tell me your thoughts on it, Brody.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. This is one that we are waiting for again. There is just so much surrounding this matchup. Not only are again, these teams, I mean, if you've even paid any remote attention to COD Mobile over the last, few months, maybe even a year, you know that these 2 teams are 2 of our top 3 teams in the North American region, alongside the now known as Team Reject side. But now we've got the added benefit of seeing the roster changes coming into effect, and of course what happened, the context at Worlds. There's a lot in this one, and it is maybe time for a changing of the guard. Will Team Mayhem be able to bring it? That's the question for me.
We've seen them bring it before, Bobby.
Yeah, especially in NA Finals.
Yes.
What, 4-2 right there?
Exactly.
And there were multiple maps that were very winnable for that Mayhem squad. That being said, the Mayhem squad that we saw in Stage 5 did not really look like that same squad. So a big question around whether or not they're going to be able to regain. I know they did have one roster change, picking up Teabag in exchange for Pepe, and I believe Jesus Can Save You getting moved to the bench. Ooh. That's a lot more slaying power, I would say. That could be a really crucial pickup for them. So I'm curious once again to see how that new addition gels with the rest of the squad.
All right, it should be a great way to close out the first day of this challenge season. But for now, it's time for our last short break of the day, so don't go anywhere. When we return, match number 4 coming at you.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true. Where everything you want can be yours. If and only if you're willing to work for them. You're willing to hurt for them. But most of all...
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series. We are about to head into the final match of the first day of our challenge season here for NA, and it's going to be a banger of a match to close the day out. We've got Glitter Explosion, Infinity, and Bobby ready to close out the day. We talked about it before the break. Team Mayhem versus LG. This is going to be pretty exciting. Definitely top teams that we're looking at here now. The first time where we get to see some of these heavy hitters on stream going up against each other. You guys gave me your thoughts a little bit on what you think the matchup is going to bring to the table. Let's kind of continue talking about it a little bit here, though, first, Brody.
Yeah, again, you kind of briefly mentioned it before we got to break, right? This is a rematch of the North American finals from season 3, and it was a surprising season 3 finals that we saw all the way back then, because I think people expected LG, because they'd been in control, dominant control for the longest time, to just completely dominate a matchup, and they didn't. They won, but they didn't dominate. I think it was a 4-2 victory for them overall. They gave a couple of maps away, and the maps they won were pretty close as well. Coming into this then, I think off the back of that, I think for me the question is, can Mayhem, now they've made a roster change, improve on that and actually maybe go a little bit step further, actually win the match?
I mean, you mentioned it too, Bobby. Team Mayhem, as we're looking at their roster here, did struggle a little bit when it comes to the World Championship, but also Luminosity had a little bit of a lower performance than maybe people had expected out of them.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see the Mayhem that we saw at the World Championships, because even leading up to it, they hadn't had super strong performances, but I think a lot of people chalked it up to like, oh, they're LAN warriors, they'll be fine, but then they get to LAN and they don't really look like themselves. They go, what, 1-3 and end up not making it to playoffs. They did get that one win up against Inco, which I would say is definitely a solid team, but across the board, they just did not look nearly as dominant, and obviously fell to Tribe Gaming right here as they got their revenge, following obviously 2 3-0s in the playoffs that we saw. So it was a cool opportunity for Tribe to really capitalize right there. But this Mayhem squad, I think, I don't know. I'm not really entirely sure what to expect. I always kind of attributed a lot of their success to Jesus Can Save You, but in Stage 5, he did not look good at all, so I'm curious to see if Teabag subbing in for him could be a necessary change for them.
That's fair, that's fair. And then obviously we've got the juggernauts that are LG. Taking a look at their roster now here, Brody, as well. How are we feeling about them?
Yeah, I think, look, with Luminosity, one of the things you always look for with any team is you look for kind of like the player to watch, right? And that's what you do when you prep. You're like, right, what is the player that is going to stand out and really perform for the roster? Luminosity has 5 of them, and they've always had 5 of them every single time we've watched them. It is worth saying, though, they are 1 Envy down, and that is their choice. Is that going to come back to bite them? Because at least in my opinion, from the Luminosity that I've watched over the last few months, Envy was one of the most consistent performers. So we'll see how that affects Luminosity, but I will say I think they'll be fine. Their sub is excellent, so they should be all right.
All right, well, we also have our picks and bans coming through here as well, and this could actually be a really important set of picks and bans. I saw your face, Brody, as soon as the hard point came through.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Again, I'm kind of looking to see what maps we get comparatively to the last couple of times we've seen these guys face off. So Takeoff should be a good one for sure. So should the Hacienda again. With these new rosters, I'm kind of excited to see kind of what the adaptations look like. You know, what do they look like on these maps now that they've got these new rosters?
Yeah, Takeoff is one that was kind of a little bit of a trump card that it seemed like Luminosity had been saving for playoffs, and one that they had very obviously put in a lot of work on. So I would imagine that's probably their map pick, given the fact that they did not look super strong on Hacienda in Stage 5. So if you're Team Mayhem and you can manage to force a Game 4, absolutely an opportunity to make it to a map 5. And I know Express is one that historically Luminosity have said that they feel strong on, but I think that's one that can go either way, especially given the fact that S&D, no question, looked like Team Mayhem's strongest mode in Stage 5.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if they are going to take the series away at any point, or a map in the series away at any point, it probably will be the Search and Destroy from Luminosity, again, especially considering they've just made that roster change. So we'll see whether or not that will be the case. Control on Crossroads Strike, this is something that I've seen, we've seen Luminosity play so well on the past. So I'm interested to see what the strategy looks like from Mayhem now that they've got that on the board. You know, how do they want to play that one? Because I don't think it's the kind of roster you're going to pull off a spawn trap against, for sure.
I think I'm really excited to see how this one goes. This is what I've been looking forward to all day. Chat, I assume the same of you, so I'm going to ask you again, predictions, your thoughts. I won't make the boys give predictions, but I want to know how everyone in chat, how you're feeling. Do you think it's going to be Team Mayhem, or do you think it will be LGSC Brody? Sighing a little bit in relief that I'm not asking for direct predictions. I'll let you guys kind of talk about that, or maybe dance around the topic as we get ready for the match. For now, I think I can probably get ready and start to send you guys on over to the other half of the studio so we can get this thing going.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I really like the map setup for this Mayhem squad. It looks better than I really expected it to, and I think if they can manage to take map 2, it's absolutely a possible that they could force map 5, if not win the entire series. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one shapes up once again. Throwing new players into the roster. Teabag is more new to the Mayhem roster than Marshy is to the Luminosity roster, because Marshy has been around these guys for the entire past year. We saw him play in Stage 4, subbing in for Tectonic as well. And even though Envy has been super consistent, I think the way that these particular players mesh together is probably going to be the winning formula for Luminosity. So I'm excited to see what the team looks like. Obviously, we never got to see Tectonic and Marshy play together last year, so this will actually be our first time seeing that on a major tournament.
Yeah, for sure. It is going to be an interesting new composition of LG players, right? And again, it has to be said, Marshy is by no means a bad player to just draft into the roster when you made that decision to change up. And it is an interesting decision to change up, right? Because, ultimately, I think for LG, even in the context of, all right, you've got Masters, the road to Masters coming up, even in that context, you're still the #1 NA team. To make a change is bold, it's audacious, but will it work? That is the question. Or will it be the thing that befalls them? We're about to find out, folks. It's time for Mayhem versus Luminosity. Let's see if Mayhem can take down their rivals.
All right, well, that's strong opening right here. Jesus Can Save You actually in the starting roster right here. So the player subbed out is going to be, it's going to take me a second to figure it out. Kings, yeah, King's going to get taken out right there. So definitely a very different look for this Mayhem roster. They get some early time on the hard point, but it's going to be LG locking things down. Obviously, one of the big changes that LG made heading into Stage 5 was putting Tectonic into more of an objective role, even with that AR in hand. And it definitely worked out to a degree, despite the fact that they did not take the championship. Blur on the outskirts going to be able to take 1, make it 2 right there, finally shut down by Marshy. But Mayhem make their way onto the objective right here and are at least able to get some contest time early on P1.
Good start from Luminosity, though. They get the better of Team Mayhem to start this particular joust, and they also get the better look at the rotation, at least for the moment as well. A wayward spawn, from Raph will at least give them a chance to pinch, but that does not happen now down low. Vega already starting to cause some problems here. Gets a double. Jesus saves the second player to befool them, and now Luminosity a chance. Smoke going down to try and get these guys away from the kill. Marshy having absolutely none of it, though. He wants to make his way through, looking for more kills. Another player through the smoke. It's going to be #1 in Teabag, who is being such an annoyance. Finally will go down. So good bit of congestion coming out here from Team Mayhem off the start. They are still spawning on the wrong side of the map for that inevitable rotation. For now, though, Luminosity doing a good job, and this is what you don't want. AORAF coming in from behind for a double, almost finds #3, but it's okay because Teabag will find a double of his own.
Well, even with all that, Team Mayhem not able to capitalize a whole lot and get any hard point control as Luminosity make their way back up on in, and now getting close to the point where you need to start rotating anyway. It seems like it's been 1 kill short every single time they've tried to make a push right here, as Luminosity have been able to shut them down. Mayhem in position to maybe get, 10 seconds of scrap time, but you let Luminosity get full rotations right here. That's 5 players set up and ready for new. And you got an operator on the inside of the hard point. If Vague wants to use it, he's going to slide up the top side, takes down Jesus Can Save You, and with that high ground control, Team Mayhem in a tough spot to try to break through, but that's a huge opener for Raph.
Here we go, Tectonic going to bring out the Barrack wants to make sure that they get control of this hard point. At least Mayhem are approaching it from the right side. There's Raf down for the first player. Marshy on the outside being a nuisance as well. And I like this play from Jesus Saves, just waiting for Blur and Cartels to approach. They can hit this at the same time. But they're still going to be running into the Sparrow of Tectonic. They're still going to be running into the roster of Luminosity. They're getting pretty much every single kill. Finally, Cartel's going to get one. Attempted flank from Vega's going to get shut down. Now in come the players from Team Mayhem. A couple more on the outside from Luminosity, but that is a good break for a potential 30-30 split here on P3 for Mayhem.
Huge plays out of them right there. Obviously, the R9 coming in for Washi, but he's going to get traded out. And even despite the fact that Cartels only has 2 kills on the board right now, Team Mayhem able to get good value out of that hard point as Luminosity will break in off the back of that one. We'll see what the rotations look like with Tectonic locking down the top side. It should set up well for them right here. Teabag, nice movement. He absolutely dumpsters Blur right there. Despite that, LG locking in that positioning, but a nice little flank play out of Cartels right here as they look to make the pinch.
LG have got first touch on pretty much every single hard point so far, but Cartels now utilizing the claw to good perfection, but didn't quite recognize that Tectonic is still in this hard point, and Tectonic sneaky beaky, now looking for the second kill against Blur, and will be denied it, or excuse me, Teabag will be denied it. And now Team Mayhem going to start to utilize some of their utility as well. Predator Missile comes down from Blur, that is going to assist them to get some form of movement in towards the hill, but Vague is now the one back at it, using the equalizers to try and clear some space for his team. He gets a couple of kills. Is that enough to command control of this hill? For the moment, it would seem like yes, and they've got a pretty darn good setup as well to hold on to the remainder of this time. Bandus watching over the middle of the map, but as he falls now, Team Mayhem never far from the action. They know how integral this last 10 to 15 seconds can be. We've seen how close takeoff hardpoints can end.
Definitely a solid hold for Luminosity to extend out that lead. And once again, for Team Mayhem, it's a question of consistency. Cartels and Jesus combined for 14 kills right now. You got Blur at 23. You got to have everybody all hands on deck if you're going to have a chance against Luminosity. And right now, that has not been the case. Ban not going to be able to find one through the smoke, and Raf somehow able to find the frag and positioning on the hard point. So a solid start to P1 for Team Mayhem as they look to close this gap. Washi not afforded an angle to be able to take down that player top red, and they don't seem too dead set on trying to get pushed on in, but those SMGs clear out the hard point, and just like that, they're back in control.
Team Mayhem still looking for the last 30 seconds if they can grab it. Washi doesn't want to let that happen though. We'll find the first. Wolf Washi converts for the double there. Nicely done, despite the fact that the smoke was obscuring their vision. Luminosity now looking for the last 15 seconds of time. Will they find it? Now having a look for it. I don't think anybody is actually going to contest this one from Mayhem. Their attention has turned over towards the rotation already, and that is probably for the best. They are currently down by a rather large margin here in this game, Bobby. You really can't afford to give this rotation up because that lead really hasn't changed all that much from the end of the last rotation.
No, if anything, I'd say it's grown even a tiny bit for Luminosity. It's been probably 25-35 on the majority of the hard points. So you're keeping things close, but you can't afford to keep giving that away. And just like that, Team Mayhem slides on through, able to get topside control. Marshy afforded a lot of shots right there, but it will earn him the kill. Team Mayhem slide back on in, and that's a 3-man push. Luminosity find their way into the hard point once again. Couple players shut down. Blur, War Machine trying to see what type of damage he can do, but that Sparrow is Tectonic on the other side. Just like that, he's going to be able to shut down a couple more. Final shot does not connect onto Jesus, and he's going to be able to continue to lock in time as it looks like finally Team Mayhem going to be able to close this gap, even if it's not by that much.
And Marshy coming through for the double. Washi going to follow up with yet another kill here. The doubles from Luminosity are just so frustrating to deal with for Team Mayhem. And now you are 60 points down in a game where right now you've got unfavorable spawns for the next hardpoint. Again, I've said it quite a lot in this game, but this is one of those moments where if you've given the entirety of this hill away to Luminosity, it will be dangerous. And how the heck has that rogue spawn happen from Raf? He gets gifted by the COD Goth, but he does get taken down by Marshy. A little bit naughty there from Raf to even find one kill. Luminosity will punish and now be the first team to touch, but here we go. Mayhem now starting to encroach in on this hill. Jesus says opened up, treating with the first kill. It's going to be the War Machine coming out from Marshy. Washi and Tectonic though, do they even need his help in this situation? Well, if they don't need it, they're going to get it anyway. Marshy for the triple. Luminosity know how important this hill is to put this game away.
It looks like they're going to be able to lock down that backside, and Team Mayhem now going to be forced to full wrap through mid. That's going to be a time-consuming push, and especially with this doorway locked down, Pred missile will hit. Vague finds another, and this is going to be a near full 60 for Luminosity, as this is as flawless a P3 as you are going to see. Another Pred drops for Marshy. That's going to earn him information. Tectonic continues to farm those kills. 10 seconds maybe to be gained for Team Mayhem, but so much ground for them to cover and not a whole lot to work with, as once again Luminosity are first on rotation.
This has to be a fast break. This absolutely does have to be a fast break from Mayhem, and it just isn't happening. Every single gunfight that could go Luminosity's way absolutely is, but now they don't actually have numbers inside the kill. It's just Marshy and Vague sitting inside for the moment, but Band comes through around the middle of the map, finds a crucial double. Washi also now coming to his teammate's aid, slowly but surely over the last couple of kills. It has been all Luminosity. Team Mayhem now looking to find their way through those back spawns. Just pre-fire from Luminosity to try and keep them at bay. It isn't working though. Jesus saves now, flying through off the back of the Sparrow. We'll find yet another kill, but Band and Marshy, they've got the responses that they need. Flank from Vague, team shots are good. Luminosity having none of this nonsense.
Band's gonna pop the Purifier, so that should be enough to ward off the rest of the players, but Cartel's able to shut him down. Doesn't matter, the rest of the LG players are there, and there's the Sparrow from Tectonic. Another operator popped, and the damage has been done. Teabag doing whatever he can. The Annihilator finds 2, make it 3 right there, but just no reinforcements for this Team Mayhem squad. They're gonna try to find any semblance of control toward P1, but with only 8 seconds of margin right here, it's only a matter of time for this LG squad. Teabag hops on the objective, he's shut down, and with nobody in place to contest, that should be enough, and it's not. 249. We'll see how long they can make it last.
They're holding on, mate, by their fingertips, or rather just one of them, I think, at this point. Luminosity, surely they've got to find the final point somewhere along the line, and there you go. Kaplan gets the final kill, and it's going to be all she wrote for game number 1 as Luminosity. I mean, look, I will say this much, mate. It was pretty close for the majority of the game. I think Luminosity only had a 60-point advantage going into the second set, but once we got into P3 to P4, we talk about so often, that is considered the money rotation, and what I mean by that is when you have 2 heals that are in close proximity to one another, and you can very easily chain them back to back. That is the money rotation here on Takeoff Hardpoint. You cannot let Luminosity get control of that whatsoever, and that is just what happened. It is worth saying, you know, I use the phrase, Mayhem let them get it. They didn't let them get it. Luminosity, they definitely earned it. The way that they played, the team play, I mean, look, they might have just made a roster change. It certainly doesn't look like it.
Yeah, no question about it. This is still the undisputed #1 team. Well, not undisputed, but they have a strong claim as the #1 team in North America right now, and showing exactly why we're getting ready to head into the Search and Destroy, which, based on the way that map 1 went, is an absolute must-win for this Team Mayhem squad. They're traditionally a strong Search and Destroy team. That being said, this Luminosity team looks like, regardless of the composition, can make it happen in just about any game mode. So we'll see what the what map?
Don't ask me.
All right.
My
we'll
brain
see what
is
the map 2
useless.
Search and Destroy has in store for us as we get ready to head into it. But like you said, it was it was a closer, like that was a matchup that didn't feel like a 122 to 250.
Yep.
But toward the end of that one, LG absolutely blew it open. Once again, Cartels and Jesus just got to bring more to the table. 18 and 32, 19 and 33. It'd be one thing if they were picking up big hard point time, but they were just not impacting the map that much.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, for Team Mayhem in this situation, I think I'm always going to say this when you're playing up against a roster like LG, you need everybody firing on all cylinders, and that just it simply isn't happening. You can't rely on a hero player to come out like Blur and play extremely well, because you know for LG, they are going to have all 5 players playing extremely well at all times. So who knows, man? Look, Mayhem, not a good start to the series, but I think, again, and I think I've said this maybe once or twice today already, but like I don't think that was necessarily their fault. I think it was just a case of Luminosity, they knew kind of when to win the game again. We go down to those money rotations from P3 to P4 and just managed to kind of win out towards the end off the back of that. So Mayhem still very much in this series. Who's getting to the Search and Destroy. There's our answer. It was Meltdown. I had a feeling it was Meltdown. I just don't want to confidently say that it was Meltdown, because if I said it, I'd look like a melon. You know, I don't want to do that. Regardless, we do have Meltdown. This is kind of Vietnam-esque flashbacks.
Flashbacks. I was thinking the exact same thing. You got to wonder if the godlike matchup is maybe in the back of their minds, even if just a little bit. Obviously, we did see the 7-0 in Stage 5 the last time we watched Luminosity. Jesus gets absolutely red right there. And they capitalize. Fast B plant right here. We do see the wrap back toward that B side, but it is going to be heavily delayed, and especially with Band making the wrap toward mid-map. Raf not going to have a whole lot of opportunities to do damage through here. Shotgun in hand, and we're just wasting a little too much time. Marshy, very, very weak. Not going to be able to get the kill, though, and with that should be a locked-in round for Luminosity, with Raf being the only one left. 4 players alive on the bomb site. Hops on over top of his head, is able to get a kill, but the trades are there.
Thought Raf was turned into the friend and neighborhood Spider-Man for a second there, but not going to get the kill with the R9 in the end. And yeah, big plays coming out from Luminosity right off the rip. Decisive in the approach towards the B site, getting the first kills and getting early control, and then Band off the back of that with a late flank that Mayhem didn't quite expect, but probably should have done. Gives Luminosity the advantage in round number 1. Now, aggression straight towards A site here. Inside the reactor, what can Vague do? Doesn't end up finishing this field over by the stairwell. Trades galore, though, now in a 3 versus 2 situation as Band finds a crucial double. Jesus save will also fall to Band as well. He's having a hell of a search in this drill round, by the way. And now Blur very far removed from the situation here as Luminosity get the bomb down.
Very notable. Band did not get a single kill the last time he was on Meltdown Search and Destroy, so maybe a little chip on his shoulder heading into this one, as now it's Blur going up against his former team, looking to clutch up in a 1v2. That's a really random window to expect people on the inside of A to B, but we'll see if he can read it right there, and he does indeed. Takes down Washi. Now going to look to wrap back right here, but Band's just going to sit at home and see what he can find with the Fennec in hand. Exact same angle right there, but Blur's not going to opt to peek it. And Band has absolutely the perfect position right here, as I don't think there's enough time for Blur to be able to find the clutch. There absolutely is not, and that's going to be another round for Luminosity.
Yeah, at the very least, Blur will find the final snipe in the round. But yeah, Luminosity, I think it was Band, right, that opened things up with that 3-piece that really did make all of the difference. At the end of the day, it was trades galore inside the site, but as soon as Luminosity get control, Blur is so far removed from the situation he might well be on Express at this point, to be honest. He was nowhere near the site, couldn't really do much in the situation, but gave it a good shake regardless. Luminosity opened things up strong here. Certainly not the Luminosity we saw on Meltdown versus Godlike, that's for sure. Their strategies seem a lot more decisive than they were back then. For now, though, here at Luminosity, things have changed quite a bit. Instead of running straight in towards the reactor, they've decided to hold back a little bit and wait for Mayhem to push the issue. I don't think Mayhem are going to fall for that, though. At least I certainly hope not.
Looks not to be the case. They've got one player looking to lock down the B side. That is going to be Cartel's Fennec in hand, and I think one player trying to watch the cross from Boiler Rooms. If T-Bag can get pushed up right here, should be some free real estate. It's all about how Band slides this corner. And it looks like he's going to make the read. T-Bag gets caught off guard and absolutely smoked out of that room. Bomb not planted yet, but is going to be able to advance over toward the B side. And 4 players going to have to hit the wrap back toward this side, as it looks like Team Mayhem starts to get an inkling, but very, very late on the play, and once again in a tough position.
Yeah, this site is so incredibly difficult to get control of once you've lost it. Partially because of how janky these generators can be. Raf, though, might have found the angle on towards Vague. Vague is going to go for the check here. The R9 would have been a better weapon situation, but doesn't matter. Switches to it like that.
What?
The other side. Yeah, that was something. I'm telling you, I can do it that fast regardless. Double R9 situation is going to bring this down. Numbers in favor of Mayhem here. Tectonic, though, wants to put the numbers back in favor of Luminosity. Time not on Mayhem's side, and Tectonic not on their side either, as now Luminosity here going to get taken down. Raf gets the final kill, has time for the defuse.
Big time clutch right there. And that's not somebody you want to be trying to clutch against. Tectonic, we've seen him 1v2 more times than I can count on my hands, but he does manage to go big right there, and that's going to be the first round for Mayhem. And maybe an opportunity to swing some momentum their way. This time, Luminosity going to get aggressive toward that A side once again. Band's going to get flashed mid-map, and Shots from the top side of mid just can't seem to simply connect. Trades go the better way for LG right here. Washi's going to be able to find another one, and just the pure aggression out of LG has not been answered by this Mayhem squad. Jesus going to get red as Ban picks up another kill and extends the lead for Luminosity.
Yeah, Luminosity feeling a little bit more assertive. That's a very fast round coming out from them. They are absolutely feeling themselves at the moment. Band is starting this search and destroy so strong. 8 kills through the first 4 rounds, by the way. Great performance from him. Mayhem got to take him down if they want a chance at winning this search and destroy and the tying the series up at 1-1. Let's see, change of strat here from Luminosity. A couple of players in towards their side, Jenny's. Mayhem not biting the bait just yet. As soon as they peek out, though, Blur should know that is a smoke to try and get across towards B. This is something they desperately need to stop because, again, I said it once, it is very difficult to retake, even though Raft managed to pull off a 1 versus 2 before to do it. Bomb now going down, and Ban finally opened things up with a delayed nade.
And Blur's still not even going to commit toward that backside rotation until he hears the bomb go down. And by that time, Jesus already taken down, so still so little time to work with. You give away information with the nade going over top right there. And just no type of advantage for this Mayhem squad as Teabag gets picked once again. One player gets aggressive through the top side. They find a few kills, but now all down to Blur. And like you said earlier, it just has been so disconnected from these plays. Able to find one right there, but these SMG's top generators are not going to overpeak. They back up right here, and not enough time for him to find the kills. And they're looking for the execution. They'll settle for the boxing gloves as LG now up 4-1.
Simple science, mate. That's all it is. Simple science in the situation. You get control of B, you keep control of B. Luminosity know how easy it is to win rounds out as soon as they get the bomb down on B. Team Mayhem here need to find an answer right about now, to be honest, to Luminosity. And I think part of it, at least in my mind, is just get hyper-aggressive. You know, just start to get right in the face of Luminosity and unsettle them. As a matter of fact, it's the other way around. But Blow with a good read here onto Ban. Will snipe off the back. Tectonic going to fall right off the back of that as well, and Raph. So Luminosity, they might well have control of the reactor. They do not have control of the round just yet. They lost 2 players.
Ooh, nice nade angle for Vague right there as he's able to do the damage onto Teabag. Pushes through, but Teabag makes him pay. Way over aggressive for Vague right there. Cartel's playing deep in spawn, going to be able to find one onto Marshy. Now all down to Washi as he looks for the 1v5. Team Mayhem hit the regain off of a slow round. Or rather, slow start to the game, and that's going to be a hit marker as Jesus able to make him pay. Team Mayhem pull things to within 2.
Yeah, I think on the whole, though, that was actually a pretty good round from Team Mayhem, right? You get the first couple of kills, and Luminosity just kind of look lost, right? Where do they go from there? They try to get the bomb down. It just doesn't work out. So nice plays from Team Mayhem. That's the round they wanted. That's the bounce back I think they're probably going to require. Can they get it done? Now moving forward, it's them on the offense as we switch sides, and they've got control early on of Reactor, but once again, very similar to where the situation was Luminosity in the last round. They might have control of Reactor, they don't have the numbers, and then they're going to equalize them by getting the bomb down. That nade was, I don't know, it was like a kaplunk kind of thing, I don't know.
It was a distraction nade.
Yeah.
All calculated, trust, Ban looking for an entry here on the A side. Nobody looking to make the first move, and there's Marshy taking down Blur. Exactly what they're looking for. Ban lurks through the smoke. Not going to find the early angle, but sees Cartels across. That should be the necessary information. Jesus gets red as well, and now all down to Teabag. Trying to make it a 1v3 right here. Not a whole lot of time for Band, but he should be able to make the read here and able to find the shutdown. Big time play for him to avoid the 1v3. This Teabag trying to do what few have been able to. Luminosity only 2 rounds away from taking this search and destroy as well.
What a lovely little 1v1 there towards the end as well from Ban to bait the defuse, make the noise, force the check, and win the 1 versus 3 from there. Ban, again, I'll continue to say it till the cows come home. 13 kills, just incredible from him in this search and destroy. A real rock for Luminosity. Now, round number 8, Team Mayhem pushing all the way through towards generators. I like the patient play from Ban. He is waiting for a player to push all the way through, but inside the B site, there's more pertinent matters to deal with if you're a Luminosity. It looks like Mayhem want a piece of the B pie. They're going to get it one way or another, and Raph is going to be the player to force it down their mouths.
My gosh, LG, that's the first time they've really looked like they've been on their heels. Tectonic going to sit back, look to find a pick with that sniper in hand, but Mayhem once again stay home. Not going to overextend right here. Raf can afford to sit back with that shotgun in hand, and you force these players on the backside to commit. They can play one direction or another. You can hear the shots from across, and with only 25 seconds remaining, Team Mayhem will gladly sit back and wait. Blur are going to be able to find one. Raf finds the other, and once again, pull things back to within 2.
Yeah, Mayhem really well played to get control of the B-bomb site there. Nicely done. They are playing this extremely close versus Luminosity. I think really, again, the only difference maker in this situation is going to be Band. If they can take him out of the play early on, might be in for a good time. Let's see. Mayhem off the start of this one. I want some early snipes towards the generator side. Will they give it to him? That's the question. All he needs is a foot, a toe, a hair. That player will be dead to rights. For the moment, though, it feels like a little bit of a stalemate here. Finally going to be broken by Ban, pushing for the middle of the map. Will Raf win that engagement? No. Bit of an anticlimax.
And Jesus giving away a lot of information with that laser just glaring across that doorway. But at the bare minimum, I guess going to ward off the Luminosity players looking to push on through. T-Bag's going to force on down. He's able to take down Washi, and that will leave the B site open once again. Neither team on the defensive side wanting to commit heavily to defending that. That's going to be a nice kill for Cartels, but Raf's going to get traded out right there. Not a great spot for Marshy as he's forced to reload, but backs on up. And into the 3v3 we go. First entry should be Vague, but he's actually going to wait for his teammates to reinforce right here. Nice spot for Jesus up top, though, with the R9 in hand. Is going to be nasty to try to deal with. But Vague does it.
Vague does it, absolutely. Oh, Vague almost gets the second one as well. T-Bag done it tonight. And now, the 1v2 here. Marshy just going to hop the defuse, waiting on the teammate. Tectonic is there. Marshy gets off the bomb. He gets the kill as well. Does he have time for the defuse? Yep. I'm not too sure. Can he get this one through? Yes, he does by the skin of his teeth. Marshy going to win out that round. Beautiful 1 versus 1. I honestly didn't think he was going to hop off the bomb.
I didn't either. I thought he was going to stick it right there, but I guess made the perfect read on the timing that was available. Finds the kill right there, and now Luminosity. 1 round needed to close out the search and destroy and find their redemption from stage 5. Maybe not full redemption as there's not quite as much on the line, but it's definitely a start for this squad that obviously still has very high expectations and what they hope will be a Masters finals that they're playing in. Raf going to ward off anybody trying to push through that angle. You do not want to be greeted by an R9. And that's going to be Ban pushing across the top side. Instantly traded by Blur and into a 4v4. Ban taken out of the equation is a solid start.
It's a good start. Luminosity pushing Mayhem all the way back towards their base. They've got to rethink their strategy. They do have an entire A-bomb site that is free to use as they desire. No board required here. Raf going to open things up with the kill versus Vague. Now looking for the second one as well. This is very aggressive from Megan Marshy. Raf making it look so easy, though. And now if the round was definitely not in their control, it certainly is now. Mayhem going to get this bomb down. And Washi needs to pull something off. Unfortunately, just catches the T-shirt of Raf. Not going to get the kill, but gets right towards the site here. This is audacious from Washi, but he's got to make something happen in the play because you don't have the numbers.
Tech cooks the nade right there, trying to find an angle. Has shots on the Blur, but just can't quite make them connect. And with that information, should be enough for Mayhem to close out the round. Blur doesn't overextend right there. And you should have shotguns locking down both of those top sides if Tech wants to make the top side push, but he doesn't really seem all that set on trying to commit to this round. Raf's going to go ahead, put him out of his misery. Once again, back to within 2 rounds, but Mayhem have not been able to get any closer than that.
Yeah, good plays from Mayhem, though, or I should say good plays from Raf, who has been the superstar for this roster so far in this game. That R9 has done wonders, and it most certainly did in that one. Create the space that Mayhem needed, or rather the confidence that they needed to make their way in towards A. Now, need to follow it up with another victory here. If not, they are donezo in this search and destroy. That's not the start they wanted, but good trade coming out here. 4 versus 4 scenario. Smokes and trophies going down. They have every intention of getting this bomb down. And then the hold. This is an egregious push out coming from player number 3 and number 4. Cartels and Jesus saves, but it does actually work as they take down Marshy.
Yeah, that's absolutely crucial. Another snipe connects for Blur right there. And that moves it into a 4v2 for Luminosity, and they don't realistically have any idea where that second player that pushed out is. Maybe an audio cue off of Jesus on the top side, but by the time you walk up to him and find the kill, the bomb's going to have exploded already. There they find it, and I'm not sure what we're taking shots at right here, but just so little time to work with. Tectonic, not going to have the information right there, and T-Bag said, I'll take both of those for myself. They finally break that 2-point barrier, and Team Mayhem now with an opportunity to force OT.
Our last 3 rounds have been Team Mayhem's on the bounce. Luminosity have given them quite a lot of space to work with. I can't imagine that will last for that long. When is it going to change? And here it is, the big play call coming out from Luminosity in round number 12. All 5 players on towards A, and this is why it's a big play. This is why it's a big gamble, because they've chosen incorrectly. They do not have any control over B, and now they're going to need to kind of force their way through the backside. They've got to be careful they don't get pieced, though.
And the question is, do these 2 Mayhem players make the read that it's a 5-man flank right here? And Vague's just pre-firing every corner possible, hoping that he can get the read. T-Bag finds the opener, and that should be all the information needed, as I believe he saw every Luminosity player trying to flood through that backside. Blur picks up another one, all down to Marshy and Vague right here if they want to avoid OT, and it looks like it's not meant to be, as it's Marshy in a 1v5, and just like that, we've got our first OT of NA Masters.
This is the match we've been waiting for, folks, all day long. We knew this was going to be the tasty one, and oh boy, we've been given a feast as we go to overtime here in the Search and Destroy. So now this means that the team needs to win by 2, as always, but we get extra rounds. First to 8 now. Luminosity going to start things off on the offense here. Straight in towards A they go. No resistance to be found. That utility is going to send T-Bag away. But now what do they do with it? That's the question for me. You can already see Team Mayhem with the early reaction here. They're going for a 4-man flank. How ready are Luminosity for this?
And Blur gets the information. 1 player inside boiler rooms right here. Heavy, heavy flank presence as well, but only 1 player close to A. If they can read this, 1 player in the spawn building could be crucial, but Vague able to get the shutdown onto Jesus, and just like that, advantage Luminosity. Washi has 100% seen the barrel of that gun, saw the nade go up as well, and he's not missing those anytime soon. 1-man advantage for LG, and not a whole lot of real estate, not a whole lot of time for Team Mayhem. They've got to collapse soon. Nades have got to connect right here, and it looks like that won't be the case. Only 13 seconds remaining. Cartel is able to find 1. Blur finds another, and an opportunity. He hops the bomb, but it's a bit too early. Now all down to Blur. Not enough time.
Tectonic with a massive play there, the peak. They hadn't checked all of the corners there. Tectonic pops out, takes 2 down, including the bomb diffuser. And in the end, Luminosity come out on top. Again, it does go to show just how crucial getting control of the reactor is early on if you want to get that bomb down on A. They send that player who was in there away, they get control, and it has to come down to a retake. That does not happen from Mayhem. So now Luminosity with the advantage here. Snipe early on from Blur. Is he going to find anything in the middle of the map? There will be a couple of players that potentially challenge. Jesus Saves and Raf could also be candidates to take these players head on. But for the moment, Luminosity just holding steadfast. They probably know, if anything, the bomb is going to be going in towards reactor. That's why they've doubled up on it.
Mayhem were able to close the majority of their gap on the offensive side, and they find the first blood as Jesus takes down Marshy right there, finally making the switch off of the R9 over the Switchblade, and it pays dividends as they finally get some presence onto that A side as well. If they can sniff out Band right here, they should have the information, but nobody peeks out in time. There's T-Bag, but he doesn't have an angle. Washi takes him down with the sniper in hand, and just like that, your man advantage is gone, but Raf takes it right back.
Raf has been a superstar from Mayhem, continues to be so as he gets yet another kill. Jesus Saves, premature shots, goes down. Now Raf and Cartels. Raf gets shut down by Vague. What a peek, what a call from Vague there to win out that. And now Cartels, a 1v2 to force us further into overtime. Has the bomb at the very least, but he has to face down the wrath of 2 players that will stick so closely together. And he's going to go for the chow here, at least a little check. Does he get some bad timing? That's the question for me. Yep. Does he get some bad timing? Not yet, but they will have seen him, and he's surely dead any second now. See you later, Alligator. Cartel's not going to win the fight. Try as he might. Luminosity are sent to overtime in the closest map they've played so far in the tournament, but it is not to be for Mayhem.
And once again, the Search and Destroy felt like a must-win mode for Mayhem, so now you go up against Luminosity in control on arguably their best control map. They're going to have a tall task. Gave them quite a run for their money. and definitely was winnable, closed the gap really well on the offensive side, but they just come up short as Luminosity once again showing why they are so feared in this North American region.
Yeah, just so many search and destroy rounds from Luminosity early on that were super duper dominant, and I think a lot of it was down to ban, just so many individual plays from him that managed to save round after round after round. It was in, I always say, the middle of the game where Mayhem started to garner some kind of momentum back in their favor. It was, I think, 3 rounds in a row where Luminosity kind of took their foot off the pedal a little bit, as it were. I think it's right around here, right, where Mayhem really start to gain some momentum in the search and destroy. It's like, well, Mayhem, you know, they get given control of the A on B bomb site for 3 rounds straight. Luminosity, I think, learned that lesson when it comes to the overtime, and it is worth saying, of course, that Raf also did step up to the plate for those rounds as well. So all in all, I would say that's a great effort from Mayhem, right? They played that extremely well. Not really a lot of mistakes to talk of, I think, from them. Great search and destroy for us here to be served with for our final match of the day.
No question, redemption for Ban following the unfortunate goose egg that we saw in Stage 5 against Godlike on this very same map. He goes 16 and 11 right there. And not the strongest performance we've seen from Washi and Marshy, but obviously the rest of the squad, I mean, looking at the kill count, I think Mayhem actually had more kills, but they just weren't quite able to convert on those close rounds. And very, very well played from this LG squad, and obviously making those changes that they needed to following Stage 5.
Yeah, for sure. Both the rosters coming in for changes in terms of the rosters. Both of them looking like they've got some changes in the search and destroy as well. LG, they look a lot more settled, I think it's fair to say, than what we saw in the Godlike matchup, right? And I will say as well, you know, we can always refer back to that meltdown as like, you know, what on earth happened? And I think even in the moment, we recognize that Godlike just outplayed them. Here is a situation where I still think there was a couple of moments where maybe LG just did let Mayhem have a little bit too much space. Even in a situation like this, even in a situation where they end up winning the map, they're still going to be walking away with, all right, this is what we need to improve on. This is kind of where we messed up on certain rounds, so we can do better, so we can kind of assert our dominance. Because again, I remind everybody at home, big picture for a second here, while this is going on at the moment, at the end of the season, after the season is done, after the playoffs are done, it's Masters time. And these guys are going to get another shot at taking down the teams that wrecked them in Atlanta. And, you know, those are the kind of mistakes you need to fix.
Yeah, you know that LG, obviously they want to take care of the matches at hand, but they've got their eyes on revenge. Like obviously it's not guaranteed that Godlike make it through, but with how dominant they've looked in the Indian region, it would be surprising if they did not make it through to ESL Masters finals. And it's gonna be fun to watch whenever we arrive at that point in time. Obviously, we've still got this match to finish off. I was hoping that it wasn't going to be all 3-0s on the day. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, but once again, LG's map pick more than likely on control, going to be Crossroads. Mayhem have really got to bring their A game and bounce back off of a tough loss in the search and destroy. We'll see what they can do. Solid mid-map control, and Raf just continues to run wild with those shotguns in hand.
It does try to garner some early control for a Mayhem here, but will be denied. Now Mayhem looking to get a player on towards A. That is going to be Raf, who is still chilling, by the way. Cartels is going to find the double through the middle of the map. Jesus saves, and Teabag now trying to just support Raf, who is just chilling on the other side of that wall, I don't know, half wall, whatever you want to call it. He has got all the support in the world, but now needs to get involved himself, and as Tectonic takes him down, the support is there no more. It takes about 40 seconds or so for Luminosity to gain mid-map control, but finally, I was going to say finally they have it, but Blur and Teabag actually answer right back. You need some heroics from Tectonic, and Tectonic produces heroics. Hello? 3 in a row? That is insane.
I'm not entirely sure what... Okay, they did get that final ticket progression, or the second ticket progression locked in over on A. Now LG have their eyes set on the spawn trap as Vay gets pushed up right there. Teabag's still got to be dealt with over on that B side, though, before you can really concern yourself with that. And that's a beauty of an 8 out of Jesus can save you. So just like that, we've got ourselves with a life advantage for Team Mayhem. You got 2 ticks of progression on both sides, and you are in prime position to try to go ahead and open things up with a strong round. Raf says, I'll go ahead and reach all that. Tectonic drops. Just like that, he's pushed all the way up towards spawn.
Yeah, Raf now could do some serious damage. Unfortunately, that damage is stopped. 14 versus 11 in lives, folks. 50 seconds or so on the clock. That is stopped for the moment, or it was, and there was a player on B. No longer the case now. Ban trying to do some damage here over by the A side, finds a crucial double. Now 9 versus 11. Numbers still not in favor of Luminosity, but map control most certainly is. It is worth saying, look how close Team Mayhem are to taking both of these 2 points. They're a sliver away on B, 1 tick of progression on A. All they need is one unified push. Here it comes. Vague trying to put a stop to it. Cartel's now sliding back over towards the point. It's Marshy and Bad to deal with in the middle of the map. Cartel's looking to try to put this A capture home. It looks like they're going to get it, and there is the extra 60 seconds.
And that is a nasty spot for Blur to get, or rather for Tectonic to get tucked into. This Mayhem squad are going to have to deal with him. They get the information, but the trades are there. And Luminosity find themselves with a life advantage, but they've got to wipe off the progress. They're able to do that. Blur's going to invest the War Machine right here. He's able to find one. Mayhem take the life advantage right here. Now they've got the opportunity to do damage, but Cartels gets taken down. And at this point, every life counts that much more.
4 versus 4. Player on the point is removed. Big call there from Vegas. He finds the double. T-Bag in response. Now the 2 versus 2. These players are split. It's individual 1v1s, but T-Bag gets the capture on the point. They were not having their eye on the prize, and Mayhem take advantage of it. Massive play call there from Mayhem. Again, a reminder why these guys are still a very dangerous squad.
We got 2 operators per team. That one that was invested by Blur definitely seemed to be worth it, and we see the equalizers come out. Vague doing all the damage that he can. He's able to find 2 body shots as he looks to be feeling pretty confident in his team's ability to take this one, and that's an unfortunate spot for Tectonic, as that's going to be some self-damage right there. Vague continues to run wild. He's got a Pred missile in hand. Jesus going to drop at the hands of that, and his equalizer is still going. We got a purifier in hand for Band as well. Mayhem in a nasty spot. They need to avoid that spawn trap at all costs.
Yeah, I really like this play call coming out from Luminosity. Just send everything, including the kitchen sink, at Team Mayhem off the start of this round. You want to assert your dominance to begin with. Add an extra 60 seconds immediately, and that is exactly what happens. Now, the downside to that is that Team Mayhem actually have quite a lot of utility on side. They've got 3 operators to work with. Team Mayhem can use them at their own pace. And now things will slow down slightly here. Washi wants to try and enact a spawn trap alongside Marshy. He's pushed all the way up in towards Garage. Vague as well as a problem. Mayhem need to be very careful here that they don't get spawn trap, but that is a lovely kill coming out from Jesus Save. Now Marshy inside Garage has a few players to deal with. He'll have to temporarily back away or wait for the assistance to come through from Washi. That is still happening, but while all that's going on, it's allowed Luminosity now to start to push up towards the B zone, and they've got the support as well. Here we go. LG, can they get it done?
Mayhem opt to invest a couple of operators right here, but Washi's going to get pushed all the way through towards spawn. He's able to find a couple and still doesn't go traded. T-Bag finds one for himself, and they hop the objective. I mean, a 9 life disparity right here. If you're Mayhem, you're just trying not to waste anything more than you have to. Not a winnable round by any stretch of the imagination, especially with the map control that we're seeing right here for Luminosity. Only 3 lives right here. You're trying to see how many lives you can get rid of, but not going to be a whole lot with Marshy playing like that. He's on a 4 spree, and that's going to be the B zone locked in for Luminosity as they tie things up.
Yeah, let it be said there. I mean, Luminosity, they just win that round solely because of the fact they invested everything at the very beginning of it. Great decision-making coming out from Luminosity. And honestly, they don't come out that much worse off. Mayhem don't actually have that much in terms of an advantage. They have 2 operators apiece. And of course, now Washi has the Predator missile in the back pocket ready to go if he chooses to use it. So big round from Luminosity to tie things up against Mayhem here in this control. Now they switch sides once again. And Marshy making a statement opening towards this defensive effort here as Luminosity now not giving anything away for free to Mayhem off the start of this one. Band starting to get in some of these power positions will be shut down before he can find his way in towards that building side. But nonetheless, Luminosity, I think they'll be comfortable with this start.
Raph still has an operator if he wants it. And with how much they're struggling to take some map control, might be worth using. He's going to pop the equalizer right there. Forces his way through mid-map. Vague, trying to find this player on the objective, but it's actually going to be a nade from Band that does the damage. Raph turns, equalizer, finds another kill right there. That is a strong, strong operator. He's going to be able to completely control the mid-map right here and has a decent amount of time left on it as well. And they can pretty much freely capture A right here as nobody wants to peek the equalizer. He's wrapping back toward the inside, does get taken down right there. And now Vague and company have to deal with the player that's hopped onto B and T-Bag. They're able to do that. It looks like they've got some progress that they can clear off of A as well.
Band trying to assist his team here through the garage side. Has a couple of players to contest with and has the help from Washi as well. But there are players across the board here. Mayhem have got themselves spread pretty thinly, but it might well work if they can maybe play some distractions. Band, though, not distracted whatsoever. Will find the double on the point. Tectonic for number 3. Excellent plays coming out from Luminosity. A 3-life advantage with 30 seconds to go on the clock here. And if you're Team Mayhem, you're in go mode. You have to make sure you get on the point right now. Does the obscurity of the smoke help Mayhem in this situation? Well, it will at least set them to stop the clock. Players stacking this point. Looks like they're probably going to get A here in this situation, but Band on the flank. Can he make anything happen with the Purifier? Can he stop it? No. So now an 11v7, 1 tick on the second point here. Mayhem need to get something going, though, because they've only got 6 lives.
Vague already with another equalizer right there. Does get shut down by Jesus. T-Bag gonna invest the Annihilator as he looks to make his way onto that B zone, and that's a decent chunk of kills right there for Team Mayhem. You can't let all this progress go to waste, though, and I don't think Marshy's going to be peeking that until they see someone hop the zone. Nades do connect onto Band right here, so they get some information. G's going to pick up the kill, and there we start to see the progress go through, making a 2-piece for Jesus. They're going to look to stack the point as quickly as they can, and Vega is going to be forced to peek this right here. 1 kill goes through. Jesus not going to make the read off of that. Operators galore. Marshy's able to find one. Cartels with another. Back and forth they go, but Luminosity take the life lead.
And Cartels is going to be shut down as well. That was the player, if anything, you want alive in this 3 versus 5 situation. And if anything, you don't want Tectonic and Marshy alive. Marshy, I think, going to run out of War Machine bullets. There aren't that many in the magazine. And Tectonic still has 7 arrows left in his boat. Things will go down for a second here. 25 seconds on the clock. Luminosity just firing some of those Sparrow bolts away. Creating some space here for Band to fly up towards this side. The smoke provides the coverage. Just going to shoot through it. Going to make T-Bag super duper weak. And will anybody up top action on it? I think Vague is the player that will go for the kill. And indeed, Vague does act on that information. Blur goes down as well. It is not looking hot if you're a Mayhem fan. Raf has to pull off a 1v5 with 1 second on the clock. And unfortunately, he doesn't have super speed. Mayhem give that round away.
And that's a rough one to lose, especially given the way that Luminosity looked on the offensive side last time around. Fortunately for Mayhem, no operators for Luminosity to use as they threw everything that they could at that one to make sure they didn't lose the round. Marshy with the opener onto Raph right there. Jesus hops on the objective to make sure things are contested, and LG wrap all the way back toward that spawn building, but not going to be able to escape the shots from Jesus right there as the lives are tied early here. 27-27, nice little read out of Cartels to see how many kills he can find. The answer is going to be 0.
It's unfortunate. It happens sometimes, but Tectonic going to find a double, though. Trades galore going on as Jesus Save's going to double up for himself. This is pretty good for Mayhem at the moment. They've got a triple stack over by this B side. That smoke is actually going to obscure a player, number 3, Band, who does manage to temporarily escape and actually finds a kill off the back of that as well. That's quite frustrating if you're a Mayhem that you've let that player slip the net like that. And they continue to press the issue too. You can tell they want a slice of both of these 2 points at the moment. They've already got players contesting over by the A side. Band picking up a kill over by B. They are trying to stretch Mayhem thin here on the defense. And Mayhem now looking to try and fight back, but they just cannot take out these power players. Tectonic over by the point, also being helped by Vague and Ban. This is looking pretty good. Luminosity have been uncontested for the last 30 seconds or so.
And they have absolutely no avenue to clear off that A zone, so now all the pressure on for them to make sure B stays clear. Jesus has lurked all the way through their spawn building and should be able to find a flank. He's able to take down Marshy right there, so that brings us into a 17v17, but Band gets pushed all the way towards spawn. If they can get some mid-map control, should be able to get at least 1 player onto that B zone. It's just a question of what they can make of it, and so many players on the inside of that room. Jesus, big kill right there. Find the life lead once again, but Tectonic instantly equalizes.
This is such a close control at this point. 12 versus 13 in lives. Just over a minute on the clock here for Luminosity to make their move. Here we go. Does it come by way of Washi, who has the Annihilator in hand? There is one on side. Jesus Saves has an operator on the other side to utilize if he so chooses. But Marshy's now on the point. Clock has been stopped. Luminosity now should be trying to draw these players out into the middle of the map. That's the plan. Yeah, Band is keeping an eye on it. If anybody pushes, they will go down. That's exactly what happens for a T-Bag. On the other side, Washi taking a player down, but Band was the player on the point, and they fall. So Luminosity now going to have to rely on the heroics of Vague, who has whipped out these equalizers.
and he's got a nasty flank play. This should be a guaranteed 2 kills, if not more. Able to take down 1. Raph should have the information, though. He's just going to keep on running. Takes down Tectonic. You're perfectly fine with that. You're able to keep things clear, but Bandit's got to be dealt with on this bottom side, and there's not a whole lot of time to work with. 2 ticks of progression, but Team Mayhem find a couple. Blur goes big with the sniper in hand, and Jesus can save. Gonna pop the Sparrow right here. Only 1 tick to be given up as the lives are equalized once again, but Jesus finds a second. And right now, all the pressure onto Luminosity. You cannot give up anything, and a big-time kill for Vig.
Yeah, they're going to pick up the window. Now Tectonic going to follow up with another one against Raph. 2 versus 3. T-Bag and Blur both have operators in the back pocket. I mean, you might as well use 1 at the very least here to make sure you win this 2 versus 3, because if you don't, you're out anyway. And they're going to use both in this situation. War Machine bullets are galore, but T-Bag fires on the other side. They're going to go down. Now T-Bag for the 1v3 has already picked up 1 player on the point. The clock will be stopped. You can no longer rely on it here in this situation. T-Bag just trying to find the angle. You've got to go now, though. Washi just a second away from capturing the point, focuses on Tectonic instead. And that is the wrong decision in the moment. That is so unfortunate there. A split-second decision that does not go their way. LG, by the finest of margins, take the control away and hand us our 4th and final 3-0 of the day.
If he doesn't wrap through the room toward the backside and just jumps out the window, has the lineup on the player on the top side to hit the Annihilator shot, and has time to get on the objective, but that one decision cost him big time, and LG find a way to take the 3-0. That is 2 big 3-0s today, as they already took down Truly. Now they take down Team Mayhem as well, and once again showing why they are so feared in this North American region.
Man, Luminosity just looking so good. I will say again, I think we expected this to be the closest series of the day, and it absolutely was. But just looking over towards the highlights here, I mean, look, Luminosity, they look impressive. Mayhem, they played them extremely close though.
Yeah, it was. It didn't disappoint. Obviously, a lot of people would have liked to see more than 3 maps, but you absolutely cannot complain, at least about the last 2 maps that we got to see. The Search and Destroy all the way down to the wire in overtime, and even though it was a 3-1, very close control. Honestly, very reminiscent of the control that we saw during Stage 4 as well.
Yeah, I don't think that the final scoreline of 3-0 is indicative of the gameplay we saw on every single map. That was there were some really strong moments out of Mayhem there. Also proving that even though LG in the end does come out on top with that 3-0, that Mayhem has definitely figured something out in the downtime post World Champs, now moving into this next challenge season. So that is going to bode well for them. That's something that's good moving forward throughout the next couple weeks. But LG, like you mentioned, they've got that off-stream win as well as the one that we just witnessed here. So LG, we knew they were going to be dangerous, and they're proving that they're here to play, Brody.
Yeah, I mean, look, there were a lot of questions about kind of what post-Rostermania would this new look LG look like. It's LG. I mean, what else are we going to say at this point? It is just LG doing LG things. They look like they haven't even changed whatsoever. I will say, though, I think if we kind of flip the script for a moment here, Mayhem, they do look better. And I will say that much. I think, you know, albeit we've seen them challenge LG in the past, albeit this is a 3-0, I think you said, right? I mean, it shouldn't have been a 3-0 ultimately. Mayhem look a lot better for it. I think post-Rostermania, I think these teams are now a lot closer. And I think, well, when they play again, which they will play again, it should be interesting to see kind of what changes and improvements they make.
I think it'll really make that top 4 discussion pretty interesting to see where, like, some of those bubble teams moving into challenge finals will end up, Bobby.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be... It's going to be a really big battle, I think, between Tribe and Mayhem. I think the New Look Tribe team is going to be really strong. New Look Rejects team is going to be really strong. But like we said, this Mayhem team, even though it was a 3-0, definitely looks stronger than what we saw in Stage 5. I think we saw stronger performances out of Jesus. I'm curious if maybe we do get a couple different looks, because it was surprising seeing Kings taking out of the starting rotation. That's not something that we've seen basically for the entirety of this Mayhem roster. So whether that's an availability thing or something that they're trying, I'm curious to see. But I think once we do get that Rejects versus Mayhem roster, that's probably going to be, in my opinion, that's probably the matchup of the season.
Ooh, okay. Well, Remember that. He said it officially. It will happen at some point. And that'll be a good day to definitely be here watching our challenge season. We'll take a look back at the schedule with all of those updated scores, just in case you're just joining us and you want to know what you missed here on the stream today. It was a day filled with 3-0s and admittedly much closer 3-0 at the end, like we said, than that 3-0 kind of makes it look. But lots of these teams setting themselves up well in the first day, the first week of our challenge season, and that's something to really pay attention to. We've got the leaderboard here as well, and the reason I say that is because Luminosity and the Rejects at the top of the table right now, both 2-0, and they are they're the two teams that everybody needs to be concerned about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not a surprise, is it? Again, you know, we came in today, and I think we came into the entirety of this season of SBS thinking, all right, we've got 3 teams. They are going to be our top 3 teams. Can anything change? So far, after day number 1, no is the answer, but maybe things will get a little bit more interesting when truly start to challenge. Because look, I think they lost to Luminosity today, right? They lost 0-3 to them. Maybe when they start to challenge Rejects and Mayhem, that's when things will change. But who knows at this point? For us, at the moment, the status quo remains unchanged.
I would agree with that. I did not think Truly looked terribly focused today in the matchups that they saw. I think that was one they should have handled with ease, and there were multiple moments where it looked like it might be a close matchup, which just shouldn't have been the case. So I do hope they put in the work. Like we heard from Space earlier, like he's just kind of like playing with his friends right now. True. So it may very well be that they're just playing to have fun and make a couple extra dollars. But this is a team that I think does have potential, and I think if they put in the work, could make some noise.
Yeah, and one final point, too, is the fact that we had talked about at the beginning of the show. It's 2 spots from NA that do make their way through to, you know, Mobile Masters in Brazil. And that's another thing that a lot of these teams are going to have to really battle for after the performance that we now see out of Rejects and LG starting off in a 2-0 fashion. Whoever those 3rd and 4th squads are going to have to figure something out if they want an opportunity to continue on to the next stage of the competition. But that's pretty much it for today. So before we say goodbye to everybody, let's do some final thoughts, Brody.
Again, I feel like today, this has been pretty much what we expected from these teams. I'm not disappointed. I've been really excited to see these teams, you know, see their new rosters and such. But again, you know, we want to see more competitiveness coming out of these teams. And I really want to see teams coming out of today, going back and reviewing their VODs and seeing, all right, this is where we went wrong. Just make sure we fix it for the next few matches. Because if you're doing it against, say, you know, we have a match like Disciples and Team NBA to kick off the day. If you're going to make mistakes against those kind of teams, you need to fix them for the big 3. You need to make sure, because if you don't do that, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of pressure more than anything on those, maybe not bottom 4 teams scoreboard-wise, but bottom 4 teams as far as expectations go. I think Disciples obviously got the win, but no question they still have a lot of improving to do. So I'm hoping that they are putting in the work. I know there's a lot of players that have been playing like rank S, just pickup scrims, 5v5s. So even if you can't get your squad together, finding opportunities to play to improve your gun skill, your awareness, whatever it is, I would love to see that out of those bottom 4 teams to see if maybe they can give one of those top 4 a run for the money.
Yeah, as we get through the weeks in the challenge season a little bit more, that leaderboard will kind of start to even out, and we'll get a better understanding of where a lot of these teams do stand in the overall competition. But as for us here right now, week 1 of the challenge has come to a close with a lot of our expected teams, our 2 expected teams, sitting at the top of that table. The battle will only heat up from here, though, because a lot of those heavy hitters have not faced off against each other yet, and they will in the coming weeks. So make sure that you are continuously tuning in so you can see how all of those matchups go. Of course, a huge thank you to Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force for making this whole thing possible. And thank you to everybody at home and in chat for hanging out and watching with us. We'll see you next week.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Monster Energy, DHL, and the U.S. Air Force.